Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith here at Sports Vibes TV, and this is a Sunday Knicks stream. How's everything going, Foxy?
Everything's okay. I had some technical problems, sorry for the delay, but I hope all is well with you. Salute to you, the chat, the SV Nation. We're going to be talking some Knicks basketball, and it's going to be a no hard holds barred night, folks.
Yep, we got a pretty interesting show lined up for everyone. So just want to give a few shout outs to the chat. I see Geraldine McGyver's in there
First
saying
lady of
salute to
the SV
Sports
Nation.
Vibes. Salute to the chat. Also got Jay Dragon in there. This team is mediocre at best. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far, but we do have some issues and we'll discuss them. And also, we're going to come up with some solutions or offer up some solutions in order to get us out this rut. Troy Flett, he's also in the chat as well. Want to say salute. Thank you for pulling up and tuning in. Saying should focus on rebuilding instead of running all vet lineups and wasting cap space. That's a topic we're going to discuss
I
as
like my
well.
Troy. Troy, you nailed that one, boy.
Yeah, not saying rebuilding per se. I still think this team can compete, but we are doing some questionable things with roster spots, and it's going to be something we'll get into. Michael West is talking about uh, Thibs calling out RJ. What Thibs did to RJ Barrett is terrible. He blamed the 21-year-old for the failures of his team. Michael West, that's another topic we'll get into as well. We'll talk about RJ, talk about Julius Randle. We'll talk about the players as a whole because we want to get to the bottom of it, Foxy. We want to see why we're having these struggles. What's the cause of the slow start to the season? Who's really to blame? We're going to look, is it the players' performance? Is it, coaching? Thibs, is he the reason we're off to this slow start, or is it the front office? A lot hasn't been said about the front office and their responsibility. How responsible they are for fielding the team we have out there right now. I think the drafting that they've done has kind of covered up some of the bad roster moves elsewhere. So, Foxy, we'll start with players. What are you seeing out there from our players that has really caused us to not carry over the momentum we had in that 5-1 start and be where we are now, a game under 500?
I think the thing that hits me the most is that I can't believe that we have a team that plays this way in Madison Square Garden. It's an embarrassment. I'll scream if I hear Tibbs bring up energy one more time in a press conference. I'm old school. If you bring that up, an energy problem in a press conference over one time, then it's on the coach in the front office that you didn't fix it the first time. And I brought this up before. Bill Belichick's quote: "As a coach, you're there to teach technique. If you have to teach effort, you're not playing on this team." So if we have if we have players that have no energy to play in front at Madison Square Garden in front of their fans, then we have the wrong guys on our team. So, when what you prefaced with, I think there's a little bit of everyone's problems. It's not the players, it's the players' problems, it's the front office problems, it's Tibbs' problems. Everyone has to take some ownership here. And I think a lot of it has to be with roster construction, that they're getting cranky. You saw over the last couple of weeks, folks, you saw the other night, Fournier and Randall at the half having heated words on, missed defensive assignments. Then you see Randall in the press conference talking about, bad communication. You saw D Rose, John at Tibbs. You saw Obi, John at Tibbs. So they're not happy. We're in a really difficult situation because we're a quarter of the way in and we need some drastic moves. If we just say, hey, we'll right the ship. How do you right the ship with players with no energy? Key players.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with this season, it doesn't seem like the players really like playing with each other. Last year, we saw that there was a camaraderie with the team, and everybody was gelling, and everybody had fun out there on the court. You're not seeing the guys have fun, and I know it's more. It's not just about having fun out there, but that's where it starts. At the end of the day, it's a team game. Guys have to enjoy being out there on the court together in order for us to build that chemistry, in order for us in order for those players like Julius Randle to know where Evan Fournier is going to be in order to catch him, for a catch and shoot situation. They have to move as a unit. And if they don't like, I don't want to say definitively they don't like playing with each other, but I can only assess what I see out there on the court. And I don't see an enjoyment. I don't see players going into that into the garden and looking at the players in that locker room and saying, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to fight for this win. There's not enough fight with this team. And that was something that I think all New York fans could kind of gravitate to with the team last season. And we're just not seeing that this year. And it's frustrating. So, Foxy, you want to start with the front office then? You're saying that it's an issue. You want to start talking about the front office and some issues you've seen?
Yeah. And, we'll get into Thibs in a few minutes, but to Thibs' defense, he's at the mercy of the players that the front office brought him over these last couple of years. And if you think about it, this front office signed the legendary Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Austin Rivers, Novell Pell, Taj Gibson. They're a bunch of journeymen who've been on God knows how many NBA teams, but they're not the foundation pieces of building a championship squad. D Rose was a great addition, but he's part of a 2-year plan. He's not a guy that you could rely on for the future, or we should be part of our future. Do you remember what ailment bothered him last year in the playoffs?
No, I don't recall.
Ankles. The wear and tear of this league, ankles, I think it's going to be a chronic thing. So that's why, in preseason, in our discussions, we were talking, folks, about minutes management, that he's fragile at this stage. He has, you saw him in person, he has great burst and everything, but a season takes its toll on you. And we're 22 games in, and he has a tender ankle already. And how's that supposed to heal during a season? So the front office has so the players that they brought in, and it's aggravating. We just saw this week, folks, Chicago. In 1 year, their front office completely did a roster reconstruction, bringing in DeRozan, who's spectacular. Most points in the NBA in the fourth quarter. He's on course for an MVP season. Brought in Lonzo Ball. He brought in Caruso. Brought in Vucevic through a trade, and all that to complement Zach LaVine. So what's our front office do to complement Randall and RJ? Fournier and Kemba? Kemba's already been exiled to the bench, and Fournier, although he's a defensive liability and not to the level that Kemba is, but he's still he's a good shooter. And did I say a good shooter yet? He's not a star player. We need stars on this team, or we need players that have he's at his ceiling. Fournier at his age, this is what we're going to get. He's going to be a good shooter. He's not going to get faster. He's not going to be getting to the hole quicker and stuff like that. So yeah, the front office needs to take a hell of a lot of accountability, and I'd love to know who their publicist is, Leon Rose and stuff, because they're not getting the. Yeah, you're telling me, well, that's a hell of a marketing team, because they're not getting the heat that they should be getting, because last year it had to be smoke and mirrors. Because if you look at all the stats, and I forgot who said this at the beginning of the stream. You'll let me know, but it said that it's Jay Dragon. The team is mediocre. If you look at our stats across everything and cleaning the glass and stuff like that, we're a mediocre team. We're just average across the board in different categories. There's nothing, that we're elite in, and we're pretty good in some areas, but the front office has not outfitted Thibs with a squad or a roster, not only for today, but for tomorrow. That the draft picks, IQ, hey. IQ. I'm lighting a candle that maybe someday he could become like a Lou Will, but he's shown inconsistency. We thought he was picking it up, and now he's not hitting the threes again. I have to give him compliments, though. His defense has gotten much, much better. But the reality is, from my eye, and hopefully I'm wrong, I see a guy that's going to have a good career, but I don't see a star there. I see and the same thing for Obi. Obi, the fans love Obi. He has great energy. He makes these spectacular dunks. But folks, do you realize he's shooting 20% from mid-range? Do you realize he's shooting 20% from three? He's 72% at the rim because of those dunks. That's fantastic. But come on, man. If you're shooting 20% from across all mid-range shots and 20% from three, what kind of trajectory are we expecting this guy to be in a few years? So the draft, and I think he'll have a good career. But again, he's a tweener. I don't see star. So are we going to be, a team of mediocrity, like Jay Dragon said? I don't see, RJ. I was hoping was on the cusp, and we'll get into that in a little while. But the front office has done very little to put players from a long term perspective that can be part of a championship squad.
See, Foxy, I agree with some of what you said when it comes to the front office and not setting us up in the best position now. But I think in terms of how our future is set up, I still think that we're set up pretty good. You might have some issues with Quick developing, but I think Quick is solid. I think Quick has shown flashes and where he can, step up and be a starter level player. Yes, there has been some inconsistencies with him. He still has, made some bad decisions here and there, but I still think IQ is a solid guard for us, and the same thing with Obi. I think Obi just hasn't been given enough time to really develop and flourish behind Julius Randle. I think if we were to, unfortunately move on from Obi because we don't have a place for him here, I think you would see him step up and become I won't say a difference maker, but he will be a solid contributor in this league. And, when you look at this roster construction in terms of how we're set up for the future, I think we have a bunch of draft picks and we have young players that we'll talk about later on in the show with Deuce. We just brought in, Luka this year on a two-way deal. We have Sims, a player that, a lot of us believe has some promise. Grimes we brought in. We have young talent. We have draft picks. I just think the front office, when given the opportunity to spend the bag, I think they didn't spend it wisely. Kemba, it was a cheap deal, only around 8-9 million, but as of right now, that did not pan out. Evan Fournier, I have his season stats up. He's averaging 13.3 points per game, 1.7 assists per game, 2.8 rebounds per game. But when you look at what other players that we could have brought in replacement, or not in replacement, but in place of Evan Fournier. You got DeMar DeRozan, who's having a phenomenal year. He's killed us in our last matchup against them. Norman Powell, the guy I wanted, he's had a solid season over for Portland so far, even though they're dealing with Damian Lillard being injured. So I agree with you. The front office has not provided Thibs with the right pieces. They also haven't provided, I think, Julius Randle with the right pieces that fit. But if you look at us in terms of our future, I think we're okay because we can hit December 15th and we have players on contracts that are movable. That's one thing I got to give some sort of credit to the front office. They didn't hinder us with contracts that I think are going to be immovable, like a John Wall in Houston. I did see somebody mention John Wall in the chat. That's not a trade I would want to go after.
I wouldn't want to trade either for him.
They're having trouble trying to find a home for him. They might have to give him the bag, similar to the way OKC gave the bag to Kemba. Yeah. So, luckily we have those players that we could probably still ship out if we realize that they're not going to be long-term fits. But, the roster, we talked before we came on, we've got players on this team that are just taking up roster spots. You got Selden. He's not doing anything. He's a quote unquote practice player, as Thibs says. Well, we have young players that can be solid practice players. Why aren't we filling that roster spot with somebody that can be, I can learn from the vets and still contribute here and there? Selden's giving us nothing. Same thing with Kevin Knox. Even though Kevin Knox, I think Thibs was trying to he was trying to go with something that was a little bit, I won't say, something that we really didn't expect. That's what I'll put it as. Because Kevin Knox, at the end of the Phoenix game, he came in for a stint with Julius Randle. He was in, I think, because Obi has not been hitting his three-point shot. So Thibs wanted to try a little wrinkle. So he's using Knox a little bit. I won't give Knox too much hell about why we haven't shipped him out and filled his roster spot with someone else. He has been trying to use Knox, I think, because we also saw him in the beatdown in the Nuggets, against the Nuggets as well. So I think he's trying to do that wrinkle. We'll see what Thibs is going to do with the roster that he does have. But I agree in certain areas with the front office, but where we are long term, I have to disagree, Foxy.
That's cool. That's cool. And again, I didn't. I said that both Obi and Quick, I think, are going to have good careers. But I
Hmm.
differentiated between a good career and a star. And
Well, you do you really? I don't. I never really looked at Obi to be a star. Did you
well,
look to Obi to be a star? I never looked at Quick to be a star either. Quick was a 25th overall
I
pick.
agree. I didn't look for a
Star would be
quick.
a reach.
That's why I said, I said he was a good 25th pick.
Yeah.
Obi was an eighth pick, and and again under the guise that he was the most NBA ready guy. And when we see him, so he can't shoot mid range, he can't shoot threes. His handles we saw making his own shot. He has 7-foot handles up to here that can get picked. He dunks fantastic. He's a great dunker, and he's great in transition, and he's a great kid. I'm not, he's a really good kid, but we saw a guy named Zignaji yesterday hitting threes and stuff like that. I'm like, God, we could use something like that. But hey, I'm hoping that they get better. But like I said, the construction of this roster really needs to be looked at.
Yeah, we might have our own Najee down in the G League, which we'll get into a little bit. But let's pivot towards Tibbs, and then after Tibbs, we'll get into the players. What are some, I won't say gripes, what are some things Tibbs has done so far that you really think has contributed to us getting off to a slow start?
Lack of in-game adjustments. Whether it was yesterday or whether it was hour fives, not getting out on the perimeter. So whether it's Vucevic that we've seen, or whether it was Miles Turner, or Zeke Naji yesterday, the list of guys that are lighting it up and not making adjustments to say, hey man, whether we put or Jokic like yesterday, maybe we got to put a switch up and put a Randall on those guys. Mitch is hurting. If you come into Mitch's home in the paint, he's going to be great blocking shots. But if you stay out of the paint, he just doesn't have that mobility, or he's not displaying it. I don't know if he's hurt, overweight, a combination of both. But it was really sad when we saw Kemba, because our view of Kemba was Charlotte Kemba, and what we saw is that wasn't Kemba. That's not the same player. Which brings us to Mitchell Robinson. It's the same thing. He's a shell of the player. He's an overweight, injury-prone version of the rookie. He's no longer quick and bouncy. He's not getting out there as we've seen. And I look at some positives that have come out of this stretch. And when I'm looking at this roster, hey, Randall's putting up 20-10-5 every game, and I respect that. But some of that 20-10-5 is at the mercy or stumping the growth of an RJ, or the impact it has on the rhythm of other players on the team. So sometimes stats look on the sheet, but at what price does it have? And Mitch, I think one of the answers is, do you really want to throw the bag, folks, SV Nation, at a guy that's no longer the rookie Mitch, a guy that can't get out on the perimeter or close out on coverage, there is a couple of things that are constant from the rookie Mitch to this Mitch. He has absolutely no offensive game. He still sets bad screens. His hands are still not there. You still see him making mistakes on pick and rolls that you shake your head. And he's on the deck 5 times a game. So I know it's only 22 games in, and I know our brother George thinks he'll be getting into condition in another 25 games or something like that. I don't see it. I just see him constantly hopefully it won't be a major injury, but I see him sitting out on a regular basis because of nagging injuries, whether foot, ankles, hip flexors, shoulders, whatever. I don't see how we could really, invest in somebody who can't be on the court. And like you just said, December 15th, if we get an offer for Nerlens Noel, take it, ship him out. The guy can't stay healthy, man. And we saw yesterday, he's a really good shot blocker, but on a couple of the fakes by Jokic, he also can't get on the perimeter. This is a different NBA game today, and we have a couple of centers that are based on Thibs' older mentality of we need to get a different type of 5 on this team.
Yeah. You said a lot there. So with Mitch, I was disappointed and Mitch. I really wanted to see Mitch step up. He had a couple games against Vooch and against Jokic where I wanted to see him elevate to that point where we can say, all right, he's someone that could be a defensive anchor for this team and not only be solid in help defense, rotating over to another player attacking the paint, but also being able to lock up his matchup one-on-one. Now, you didn't expect Jokic to go out there and have 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists, but you didn't expect him to go out there and shoot over 70%. That was alarming. And you look at players that that was crazy. I saw the stat and I said, oh my gosh, did he have anybody in his face at all during the game?
32 points in 3 quarters, folks. He didn't play the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And you saw Vooch go out there and be able to be as effective as he was against us. And I'm a big Mitchell Robinson fan. I still think Mitch can be a difference maker, but come on, man. At some point you're gonna have to show it. I can't keep coming up here and saying you can go out there and be a lockup defender. At some point he's gonna have to step up and show that he can be the franchise center for us. And offensively, he's still extremely limited. If we had another player behind Mitchell Robinson that could be that stretch 5, I think it would be a little bit easier for us to stomach. But the fact that we're getting no offense from our center position is really taking us out offensively, out of rhythm, because now you're seeing both Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel being stuck in the paint. So the fact that they're not players that you have to look at them and say, all right, you're going to be a threat, we have to guard you, when you have the rock, or even when you don't have the rock, I think it really stagnates our offense on top of us not
clogs the paint. Exactly. Impacts spacing, guys cutting, impacts RJ's game greatly, impacts Randall's game greatly. But how SV and everyone is seeing this. When are you going to realize it's like, hey, I wish Mitch well, but Mitch to me looks like SV Nation, the Keith and I love our, fighting sports, mixed martial arts and stuff like that. Nothing's worse than an older fighter or a player who's not the same, where you see their brain says, jump, and the body's just not doing it. And Mitch looks like that type of player now, whether it was a Patty Mills play or a couple other plays where he's flat on the ground. There's just no, his body, his brain's telling him to do something, but his body's just not doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
where's Info when you need him?
Yeah.
If I'm feeling you, brother.
Yeah, Inf is right somewhere right now saying, I told everybody Mitch was not the one.
Yeah, that's my man.
Mitch, though. We got some time. Mitchell rebound, but you just look at the team as a whole, and the guys just aren't bringing it. And, we don't have an identity. The team's identity last year was our defense. Now, this season, we took, Thibs, we're talking about Thibs. He made the adjustment to take Kemba out, and we thought the defense was going to step up. But the defense we saw out there against the Nuggets was brutal. I mean, when you pull Mitchell Robinson or Nerlens Noel out the paint with a stretch 5, it's pretty much open field day in the paint. They're just attacking, they're getting penetration, and if somebody does rotate over, they're kicking it out to somebody for an open shot. And now you see us defensively, we're dejected, and people are just not running out, closing out, trying to force bad looks or chase people off the perimeter. And I think that's another big issue with this team. Coach has had to figure out some way to attack teams better on defense. And until that happens, we're going to continue to see this team struggle out there, because even if we give 100% effort, I just think we don't necessarily have the talent out there on the perimeter to really stay in front of some of these perimeter players. And it's going to fall on Thibs to try to set up some kind of scheme and where we can kind of adapt to where we're weak and try to stop opposing guards from getting into the paint so easily.
I agree. I agree. Right. It's been a turnstile, and I love my D Rose, but he's hasn't been good on defense either. I think a lot of people, have been giving Kemba all of the hate on that and Fournier, but D Rose, man, on defense, he's been hurting. And one of the issues I have again with Thibs yesterday, hey, this season, the last couple of seasons, the next few seasons is all about player development. We're trying to have a winning team. We're trying to get better, but also one of the key elements of what we're trying to do is develop our players, develop our core youth. So I'm watching yesterday and I'm like saying, everyone is an analyst. I watch game X amount of times and I'm very sensitive to watching a player's gait, their stride, their running stride. I knew immediately that D Rose was hurting still, that he was favoring that ankle. He wasn't running right. It wasn't his game yesterday. He had 4 turnovers. And I'm saying to myself, why is Thibs playing Rose, Randall, and Fournier in garbage time when they have a double-digit lead? It's dangerous. It makes no sense. Somebody get injured, but most of all, it's at the expense of the development of our youth. He didn't yesterday. Deuce wasn't made available. Sims, I don't know if he's still feeling the things like that. He gave Grimes 12 minutes of burn, but I'm like saying, yo. The kids, and also Luka Samanic. Both Deuce folks and Luka are absolutely lighting up the G League. They're both averaging 28 points per game. The assist and everything that we're seeing out there. And yet, and Luka Samanic, he's 6'10", folks. He's shooting 42% from 3, 90% foul shooter. We're just talking about, wow, what it would be to have a stretch 5 or even a stretch 4 that can shoot threes, Randall has come back to earth. Randall now is average 5 years previous to him shooting 41% from 3 last year. He averaged a little over 28% from 3, and that's what he's averaging now. So it's feeling like last year was the anomaly and he's coming back to earth. But we have kids. Give Deuce. So last time was a perfect reason for Deuce, perfect reason for Luka, perfect reason to say, hey, Sims, if you're feeling, we got to develop these kids. Give them some time. When are we going to wait until it's too late to see, if they have the game we think they have? A lot of people have lit it up in G League and never did it in the pros, but give them the chance. So what is he going to start with, and also stay with guys with no energy? It's a shot across the bow as a coach. Like I said, hey, you complain one time about energy, and if he doesn't want to do that, then do it bringing in the kids. You're not going to have any problems with energy with the kids. They're playing for their life out there. So,
yeah, that is one thing I have to give Thibs. He really hasn't played the young guys as much as he should. And you look at the team; they're not giving their energy out there, and he's not calling out some of the big guns. He's not calling out a Julius Randle when he should. Julius Randle, I've seen multiple plays from yesterday where he's just giving no effort, either on defense or on offense. He's either setting lazy screens or he's coughing the ball up, not running back full speed to try to stop a fast break point. And you see Thibs not really do anything to him on the court, like not really like he can do much, but at least have.
No, he can. He can pull him like he pulls Obi and everybody else. If they make mistake, Obi get off the court. But Randall, that's part of the issue here. It's like there's no ramifications for him to do what he wants when he wants on offense or defense. You're watching.
Also can't be that demonstrative to out there on the court too. I don't like when he's demonstrative to any of them. So at least call timeout and bench Julius Randle real quick to let everybody know that type of performance is not something that we're going to allow. But yet he's going out there and he's telling RJ, hey, we need more from you. You were putting up shots in the gym last year, but we're not seeing that this season. Well, is Julius Randle putting up the same shots? Because it doesn't look like it, because his 3-point shot has disappeared now. So I just want Thibs to start treating everybody fairly. If you're going to say everybody has a fair shot, everybody's fighting for their opportunities and their minutes out there on the court. When you see guys that clearly aren't giving it to us, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier at times, when are we going to start integrating some of these younger players that we think have promise and can contribute right away? When are they going to start getting some shine?
Especially when some of our issues are defense.
Exactly. Our biggest issue is defense.
Yeah. So you don't think that Deuce is going to bring something to the game on defense? You don't, Grimes, you're already seeing him is, what he's trying to do, Sims and stuff like that versus what we're seeing. So yeah. And like we said, Luka was a first-round draft pick. Sometimes it doesn't work out with certain teams, personalities, but what we're experiencing, the issues, Give the kid a little shot. And like we said, you don't have to play him a game. Give these guys a little 4 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And if they show something else, but that's part of development. Not doing that and sticking with vets is lunacy. How much, them not communicating. My friend DePrince in the Knicks fandom, a lot of you know DePrince, we were talking today, and he goes, Foxy, when was the last time you saw guys huddling together on defense and talking and stuff like that, not yelling at the end of a quarter and saying things like that. So they're not communicating on D. Let me ask you a question. What were your thoughts about Thibs' press conference and his comments about both Randall and RJ yesterday?
Well, I mentioned the one about RJ. I really wasn't a fan of the way he called him out. I would have not liked him to address it that way, because now a lot of us are kind of up in arms. We don't really know what he was saying. Was it a shot, or was it him saying, hey, the guy has been sick, it's going to take him some time to get his shot together? Because I still don't see him really elevating his three-point shot even when he was healthy. So is he really out there putting in the work in the gym? I just don't think the press conference was the best spot for Thibs to go out there and say that.
Yeah, SV Nation, in case any of you missed it, basically what Thibs said about RJ is you get rhythm when you work, and last year he got going when he started coming in every night to shoot. There's no nights off. When he did that, he shot over 40% from three. He needs to get back into the gym, get back to grooving your shot, shoot a lot of threes, and he'll start making more. So I talked to a few of my buddies today, and they said, is it me or Thibs is saying that RJ may be enjoying New York City's nightlife a little bit?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And then about Randall wasn't as much, but he said, I thought Randall would step up more against the Nuggets to get it done. It's disappointing. So, like you said, any of those comments going to make things better?
Nope.
It's just, I think, going to create more frustration and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on that RJ comment, we really have. Remember last year, we saw a lot of the videos of them putting in the work, putting the shots up after the game. Now, the only video I can recall seeing like that was the one with Deuce, Grimes, and Knox. And that was at the beginning of the season. I haven't heard any of those rumblings about the guys putting in the work. And now, last season, it was in the middle of the pandemic. A lot of things were closed. New York City's open for the most part. There's some restrictions here and there, but all these guys, enjoying their time away from the court a little bit more than they were last season when things were closed. Because when things are closed, you got young fellas, they really don't have anything else to do. They go into the gym, they put the shots up. Now there's a little bit more nightlife. Comedy clubs are open, bars are open.
I don't think they're looking for the comedy.
Well, they were a joke out there last against the Nuggets.
Where's my roadcaster? Boom. So, but shout out to Tommy Beer, man. He does some great stuff. But he put out this thing saying in the last 13 games, basically over the last month, RJ shooting, I'll round it off, 33% from the floor, 22% from downtown, and 67% from the foul line. So that's and also the thing, I don't know, some of you folks, if you heard Wally on the MSG's telecast last night, he said something really, as a guy who's an ex-player and he was a very good shooter, about his concerns about RJ. He said, good shooters are great shooters when they're slumping. They're either hitting the front of the rim or they're shooting long, but the ball's straight up. It's never left or right. RJ is left or right. And he says it's really concerning because even his corner threes are just bad. And he says the one thing you don't want to tinker with is your shooting mechanics in the middle of a season. So, yep, like Thibs said, get back in the gym and stuff like that. But, he had this heralded, Drew Hanlon working with the the shooting guru and everything. And he goes into this funk. I'd rather hear that the poor kid is ailing some way, his back, his knee, his ankle, or whatever, to give me an excuse. I could deal with that a lot easier than saying, yo, you just fell into a funk like this for a whole month. To me, a funk is a couple of games and then you right the ship. And like we talked about, if you can't right the ship from three, he's a big guy. Drive to the basket and get those easy buckets, get to the line. But he's shooting 33% from there. So he's really not doing well anywhere. And that is really, really disappointing because I believe in RJ and I think he'll come through this. But in his third season, I was really looking for him to be much more consistent and what a
More
lot of the
impactful.
more impactful. But what a
No
lot of
impact out there.
of the SV Nation saying, our family is like saying this team is in desperate need of a leader. And RJ, if you're listening, if you resent Julius going one-on-one, doing what he wants, take this team upon yourself. You had those 5 games where you were spectacular, where we said, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's the changing of the guard. I think this is becoming RJ's team. He's taking it over, and I love that. But all of a sudden, he regressed into this funk, this slump, and it's like, come on, RJ. Things are not handed to you. You got to take them, and you take them by performance, and this is a terrible way of doing it.
Yeah, RJ has disappointed me. This was the year I thought he was going to step up and become an actual difference maker. I mean, if you look at some of the other third overall draft picks in the drafts ahead of him, they've all elevated and become difference makers. Now, you look at some of the players that got drafted after RJ, Darius Garland is starting to cook.
I was about to say that. Thank you. Garland is cooking, man. And we all knew that he could shoot. The biggest concern was staying healthy because he's a little guy and he was banged up his first few years. And also he had a well, he is. He's and we went through Kemba already. Little guys get banged up. They could light it up, but he had an abbreviated college career because of injury. So, but he's lighting it up. So, and then, at the beginning of the season, I want to be an all NBA team on defense and all this other hoopla. And it's like, over the last couple of years, shut the hell up, RJ. I don't want to hear about, I'm looking to become rookie of the year. Don't say shit like that. Just do your performance. Let your performance get you those things. Let your performance make you all NBA team. It's weird for me to say that's what my goal is. Just say my goal is to be a lockdown defender. Don't talk about the awards and stuff like that. But maybe it's time to say hi to our family for a few minutes.
Calm down a little bit.
Calm down, and also what their thoughts are. We have such great respect for their feedback and their insight.
Yeah, let's see what's going on. We got our guy Boost in the chat. Thank you, one of the mods to the channel. It's a front office mistake. Thibs don't coach kids, only vets. Facts. Should have got Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson is my guy. That's who I wanted.
We both said that we wanted Atkinson.
Yeah. He's somebody that can develop talent. We've seen that over there with the Nets, and I thought he could have done the same with RJ and with some of our other young guys. But we decided to go the Thibs route, and it's weird because you go the Thibs route, he's more so a win now, not more so. He is a win now coach when you look at how old he is and how long he's been in the game. And you have a roster that really wasn't set up to be win now. I think this roster was going to need at least 2 or 3 years before we became legitimate championship contenders, unless we were able to swing some miraculous trade or something like that. So it was always a weird pairing to me, Thibs and this roster.
Absolutely. And folks, I've mentioned this on the air before about an article that Haley O'Shaughnessy wrote. She wrote this article called The 5 Steps to Every Tom Thibodeau's Coaching Cycle. I don't know if some of the SV Nation, if you follow me on Fox Sports Talk on Twitter, that it's just frightening how accurate it is, where she basically documented his time, whether it was at Chicago, Minnesota, and now as fans of New York. So first, step 1 was toasting the hire. Everyone's thrilled because he's old school. He's a workaholic. He's a defensive genius, and he'll make these guys, there won't ever be an energy problem on the court with a Thibs team, and then the second step is auspicious beginnings, whether it was Chicago, Minnesota. Chicago won 21 more games their first year. Minnesota was a better team. Last year with the Knicks, we saw what happened. He was coach of the year, everything. But then step 3 is the playing time and the practices. That his practices are notoriously long and unrelenting, and gave him basically 2 reputations, folks. A coach who cares about winning above else, and a coach who runs his players into the ground. And a lot of people have blamed the multiple injuries that D Rose had in his prime at Chicago on Thibs. So, and during this stage, what happens is that the players start getting exhausted, and the frustration starts to boil over, and they no longer have energy to compete when it matters, and especially when it came to playoff time, which leads us to his 25-36 career playoff record and 2-8 in his last two series. So the fourth stage is the team meeting. And folks, if we lose to the Spurs and the Pacers coming up this coming week, and I forgot who else we're playing. The Raptors. Thank you. The Raptors are right behind us. There, and also with the energy and the lack of communication and the jawing and everything. The next stage is the meeting, the team meeting, the players only meeting, and you know what? Everyone sees the love affair between D Rose. D Rose called a team meeting against Thibs when he was with Chicago because he was so frustrated. Jimmy Butler, who was a Thibs guy, called a team meeting when he was in Minnesota because he got so fed up with it. So this love affair that everyone thinks wasn't such a love affair when they were younger and stuff like that. So that stage is where we're at now with the Knicks. I think we're a blink away from the guys calling.
I don't think we're at that stage, Foxy. Who's going to call a team meeting on this roster? Let's be honest. We're going to skip that. Head right to the next one. Who's calling the team meeting? Julius Randle? Julius, I won't pass you the rock, Randle.
I'm with you, man. But that's roster construction. There's not a leader.
You're gonna call a team meeting.
I'm with you. So, RJ, because of his performance, he can't step up and say, I'm the young gun. I'm the young buck that's taken over. Oh, yeah, the guy's shooting 33% from two. Nah. And like you said, Randall, hey, you selfish son of a bitch, we're going to listen to you, and Taj, you're an old vet. So you're right. I'll give you the who's going to call the team, but don't be surprised that a team meeting's called anyway. Or even if it's not a players meeting, it's a team meeting where everyone let's vent. And folks, you know what the stage is after the fifth stage? The end. He gets fired. So that's what happened in Chicago. That's what happened in Minnesota. And when you read Haley's article, shout out to Haley from the Ringer, or she's no longer at the Ringer. She left. But everything is exactly what happens. Like a treasure map, but we're not getting treasure here. We're finding, so it's frightening, but everything is exactly what happened in his history is repeating itself with this, that the players are tired. How many games have we worked together where I said to you off camera or sometimes on camera, do you know if Thibs held a workout yesterday or this morning? The guys, all their shots are hitting the front of the rim. They look tired. And he's relentless. So, I don't know, something, and I've been tweeting this out, folks, something's brewing, man. Something's brewing in that locker room. And if we don't turn this around quick, we started the season 5-1, folks. We're 6-11 since. That's terrible. That's 6-11 is brutal. And if we lose three straight, we've lost three straight, given up 110 points in those three losses for the first time since Thibs has been here. If we lose another several games, hey, the Spurs have won 4 straight, folks. DeJounte Murray has scored 6 double-doubles in a row. He's fantastic. The Raptors, we know about them, man. And the Pacers, their record, don't look at their record. Look at the players, Brogdon, Turner. We saw what happened last time. We're on the verge of something happening here. And, wow. I keep saying, and I'm sorry about that. Whoever wrote the comment, I'm trying to stop, but I'm just saying to myself, hell,
don't even stress it, Fox.
I'm trying to be as good as I can be, but I'm emotional, and I love my Knicks. And like I said, more than anything, I was able to realize the feeling of what a winning Knicks team. I only asked for the SV Nation, the Knicks family, everyone to have that feeling. Even if we don't win a championship, have a really, really good team. We don't have a really, really good team. And when I go over the stats on cleaning the glass and everything, we're average. We're average at best across all places. So, and you're like, wow, this is the team? So that's why I'm saying, hey, if this is the team, you know what? Get these young guys in there. Bring on the baby Bakers. I'm down for it. At least give them some burn. Give us some hope, because there's no hope in playing some of these vets.
Yeah, I think when it comes to our talent, we're more talented last year, but I still think if you look at elite talent, we don't have it. So you would look at us as an average team. But what I think what really helped us excel last season is the fact that we outworked other teams. We're not outworking anybody this year. We're the ones
Yeah,
being outworked. You look at the
yeah.
Denver Nuggets team, they were an undermanned team. They're missing most of their key players, and they were still able to put a beating on us. And that's just because we aren't out there giving 110% effort. And that's because we're not executing. And it falls on everybody in this organization from the top down, because that is not a product that we should be putting out there on the court at all. We should not, especially at home, for us to have that type of performance in front of our home crowds is embarrassing. Something that
Yeah,
should not be happening.
but that's players, meaning, we grew up with the Maces and the Oakleys, that type of thing we see around the league, the Patrick Beverleys, that type of dog. New York, you want to have a special player because of whether the fans, the media, and everything. You better have a game face, man. No, no wussies with a P on this team. But yeah, we have a lot of guys. We don't have dogs on this team, man, and we're showing it. If you could play that
Our
way,
dog is over in Dallas. Getting a couple minutes a game.
who?
Bullock.
Yeah, and even Bullock to me was a borderline dog, But hey, last year I think coming off that bubble, coming off the pandemic, it was a weird year, man. It was a weird year for everyone, and I'm glad. But now everything's getting back to normal. Hey, folks, we gave up 18 open threes, which means nobody was within 6 feet of the shooter. None of our defenders were within 6 feet of him. 18 of them last night. Come on, man. That is players that are not listening to coaches that can't get through their players not communicating with each other on switches or whatever. You don't hear screaming. You don't hear anything out there. But it's coming down to finger pointing now. He's not doing it. Randall making veiled comments about Fournier. We're not communicating on D. What was that little skirmish that you and Fournier had that in the first half? Well, we were talking about communicating on D and stuff like that. So what, a game or so after that, we're talking about 18 open threes. That's inexcusable to me. That's like you said, lack of effort. We wouldn't have that with kids.
Yeah. But I mean, there are some potential in-house solutions, I guess, or answers that we can bring up. And I think one of the first ones is Deuce. So Foxy, what have you seen from Deuce down in the G League to help that he can actually step up and help us try to right this ship? I know Deuce isn't going to be the answer, but defense is an issue. He's someone that has been a dog out there. You mentioned we don't have any pit bulls, we don't have any dogs. Deuce could be that player. So what have you seen from him down during his 3 games in the G League? 3 or 4?
I think it's 3.
3, yep.
Yeah, where he, like you said, defense, man. He's into defense. You have to want to play defense. Getting around screens, a lot of bruises and stuff. You have to, maybe games down. I'm thinking about it, but he's a real tough guy. Great wingspan, excellent lateral movement, can pick you up full court. He's everything. So we're looking for a defensive point guard, and we have one here. So in the G League, he's hitting threes. He was 5 of 8 threes the night, 28 points, X amount of rebounds. So and also on his assist, he showed that he hit up. He saw the court. He saw, there was a play yesterday with Randall where RJ's all alone for a 3. He looked him off. He went into the middle, and he eventually passed back to RJ, but the play was over already. So I saw that, give him a shot, and especially, like we said, worst case scenario, he's great defense. He's an excellent mid-range shooter. Folks, we're one of the worst mid-range shooting teams in this league. And you saw what mid-range with Jokic, you saw mid-range with DeRozan. Mid-range is really important. You shoot a lot more mid-range shots than you do threes in a game. So this kid, give him a chance. What do you have to lose? Especially now.
It's funny. You say you shoot a lot more mid-range shots than you do 3, but that's unless your name is Deuce McBride. He's shooting 9 3-pointers down in the G League compared to only 3.3 in the mid-range. I've got the stats up. And just messing with you. We're just interested to see when it comes to Deuce. He's out there chucking in the G League, but he's knocking him down 42% from three.
Everyone chucks in the G League. That's why when you said in an assessment, G League is really hard, folks, to look at a player and say, but if the ball's going in the hole, like him, and Luka, that's something that, that you can transpose to the NBA. If you're shooting a three from 30 feet, like I've said all along about Grimes, that kid can shoot threes. He shot 40% in college. He shot 40% in summer league. And folks, you give Grimes the opportunity, he'll shoot 40% in the NBA. Yep, he's got to work on his handle. Yep, he has to work on his mid-range. Yep, he has to work on finishing at the basket. But this kid will play excellent defense, and he'll drain it from three right now.
And he's one of those disruptive defenders as well. It's not
because he's physical. He'll put his chest into you. That's what you love. That's a New York type of player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we thought we were going to get this season. We saw some of it last year, and it's completely disappeared. And we've only added, 2 players? We only added Kemba and Evan. So where did that high level of play go, that high level of defense and that intensity go? How does it just disappear over one offseason when you really didn't even make that many changes? Are you saying that the East just got that much better and the front office didn't adapt and make the moves needed for us to keep pace? Because that's what it seems now. If we're getting outclassed like this, we're practically, the same roster and a lot of young players that got an additional year of development. It circles right back to the front office. Did they make the right moves this offseason to help us keep pace with other teams in our conference? Because the Eastern Conference,
the answer is no, obviously. They did not. And like I said, making moves for the future. You want young players that are not at their prime, that you can develop, that'll grow into their prime in your scheme, in your system. When you look at Miami, why are they successful? You look at teams like that, they get players that play within their system that work out perfect. What's our system, Keith?
Well, we do run on offense. We do run some triangle. Thibs does throw some triangle concepts out there on offense when we decide to run plays. But other than that, we really don't have an identity. We really don't have a scheme for the most part.
I thought the scheme was give the ball 3 dribbles, give it to Randall, and then have a cigarette.
That's not a scheme. That's the default option. I wouldn't call that a scheme.
Word, I'm with you, man.
And it's crazy because I thought we brought in players so that would not be the default option. But we start the season still trying to run everything to Randall with the ISO ball. We tried to change the point guard to help appease Julius Randle. Still hasn't worked. RJ Barrett not stepping up as that secondary playmaker that we needed, and that's why we look so discombobulated. It's just everything that this team has tried so far has not worked out.
No, I know, but with Randall, I think we've answered a lot of questions that he's not the answer. He's not an answer. He puts up 20-10-5, and God bless him but his bad decision making, he can't be the primary distributor on a team if you want to have a winning team. His constant dribbling. How many times did we hear Clyde and others saying, "Oh, he just dribbled into a double team or a triple team"? Holds the ball too long for kickouts. We're like, kick it out, kick it out, kick it out. When he finally kicks it out, the defender's there, and you're like, he's not going to have the shot. If you gave him 2 seconds ago, Julius, he would have had a different shot than he has now. Can't control his emotions. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a test of the emergency broadcast system. It's not. I love my keys.
It's been a while since it happened.
Yeah, but it's good luck. I love when you do that. I love you. So he can't control his emotions, especially during crunch time. We saw so we that's an answer. He can't control
his clutch gene in clutch time. He's missing clutch free throws, giving up turnovers. It's brutal to watch. You just get disgusted looking at it.
Yeah, it does. But you get disgusted saying, you know what? We saw that in the Atlanta series last year, though. That, hey, this is not the closer. He's a fine player. I'm not putting down, hey, you make second team All-NBA, you're happening. But like I said the other night, why is he dribbling the damn ball, especially with a guard next to him? The key in this league, folks, is being in your spot. We should have a guard that brings the ball up and Randall runs up and gets to his spot. If Randall has to dribble to his spot, we defeated the case. We're losing 12 seconds probably on the 24-second clock in the first place. But so the answers are it's too predictable. But also all the players are saying, you know what, I ain't gonna get anything. Randall's gonna be doing it, and if I do get it, I'm gonna have 4 seconds to shoot. So I'll hang out. And then also, like we talked about, this Kemba, this Fournier Randall thing. There's other players on. I'm glad if it don't work out, then pass to somebody else. It seems that once they get their thing going, either Randall will pass to Fournier, he'll try to do it, and if not, he'll pass it back to Randall. But everybody else is closed out. You're not going to get a shot on this possession. So maybe next time around. So and that's where I'm calling out Thibs. Like saying, I was talking to George, and I love my George. I said to him, "Hey, George, it killed me on that turnover in the Nets and other things. It's like, why isn't Thibs in the old day, the players screaming out, Apache, whatever code word is, meaning, all right, we're running this set. D Rose is going to control the ball. You guys get into your spot." They don't play that anymore in the NBA. I know I'm old, but you don't play that anymore in the NBA, then you know what? I'm glad I'm old, because that's lunacy, man. You got to protect your team. You have to run things like that. You got to protect Randall from himself if you're a good coach. Randall's a good player. If you're able to put him where he's strong, put him in his spot. Hopefully he made a play yesterday where he dribbled, and I said this the day before or stuff. Hey, when was the last time we saw Randall get the ball on the left of the key, dribble to his right, and put up that fadeaway jumper that he was so successful with last year? And the thing that drives me crazy, again, about IQ about this guy, when Kemba was playing, he averaged 7 drives. Now that Kemba was off in the few games, he was averaging 14 drives to the basket. That's what we want with Randall. Didn't happen, though. So he does something, and then all of a sudden he goes back. So he doesn't shoot a 3, and all of us are saying, you know what, good. You were getting 3 happy. And then what's he do? He reverts back. And that drives you crazy. It's like, you're not driving to the basket that you showed. That's smart. You're taking more mid-range than settling for 3s, and especially when there's like 20 seconds left on the clock, putting up bad shots. So if you're not learning, if you show a good game and then you go back to the habits of a bad game, is that the player you want leading this team?
I mean, remember, one of my first few videos was us shipping Randall out of here. That him having that phenomenal season last year really threw off the front office plans to me, because I could have sworn we were going to move off from him. But but he had a career year last year, and he ended up getting a contract from us. And now I think the future's a little bit murky, because you don't know what we're going to do. We already invested in Julius Randle, and now that Julius Randle is going to be here for the next 3-4 years, what is that going to do with Obi? Obi's not a young guy. And if we're going to move Obi to a different team and say, Julius Randle is going to be our 4 long term, are we as Knicks fans ready to accept Julius Randle as being the guy on this team? And we all know he is not one of those guys that can take us to where we want to go, and that's to a championship. It's a real tough.
He could be a piece, but he's not the first or second piece.
He can be a piece. I won't say he can't be a piece. But
he's not the first or second option.
But he's not at all. And I've been saying that for the last year or two. He is not that type of guy. He needs someone. I don't want to say put him in his place, but let him know, hey, what you're doing on the court right now is not what we need if we're trying to win. Relax. Play true to your game and stop trying to do too much or stop trying to do everything. We need one of those players. And it would have been nice if we would have gotten, CP3. That would have been a nice guy that would have been that player that can have that kind of cachet in the locker room. But this roster is just not there where, CP3 is the guy that puts us over the top. And, unfortunately, we've picked a lot of bad choices in the draft over the years that has led us to this spot. But, if Julius Randle is going to be the engine of the offense until we get to that point where we're ready to get another piece and contend for a championship, then the front office is going to have to do better getting players that complement him. And I don't think Evan Fournier and Kemba was that. And I think that's why we saw this season kind of get off to a rough start. The fact that Julius Randle's out there playing with players he doesn't really vibe with, still trying to gel with, and the fact that Thibs really isn't the kind of coach that's going to go out there and put them in positions offensively to where their talents are gonna, achieve what we want them to achieve.
Yeah, in some ways, I think, the signing of Kemba sabotage may be part of this season, hopefully not the whole season, because it ruined our momentum. And like I said to you, there's not a freaking way in the world that a basketball guy before this season didn't say in practice behind closed doors, yo, you see Kemba? This is not the answer, man. This is not Kemba, man. He can't play D, doesn't have burst. He'll have good games because he's a shooter. So some games he'll light it up if there's bad D from three, but don't expect penetration. He's never been a great assist guy, making other guys on the team better around him. They had to see that. So going this way, sabotage. We lost a lot of momentum. It was a lot cooler if they said, wow, you know what? In a perfect world, it would have been great, but you know what? We can't put him out on this first game, or we'll put him out in, we want this sentimental thing. We love him. He's a great guy. He has a great reputation, but he's going to kill us. He's going to hurt us. We're going to have to make a hard decision in a short time if we put him in there. And sure enough, we had to. And Kemba didn't deserve that. The New York fans didn't deserve that. The players on the team didn't deserve that.
Yeah, Foxy, we got a $5 super chat from our guy 1975 Jam Rock. Welcome to Jam Rock. Out in the streets.
Are you new? If you're new, let us know. Yeah, wait a minute. My dog's barking.
Is Mouse crying?
My dog's barking. Whoa. Keys is 3 for 3. Every time he sings, my dog starts going.
he pulls the Scooby.
Yeah.
So he's saying, why didn't we run pick and roll between Rose and J30 when Vooch was guarding him in the last 2 minutes? A slow-footed big man with Randall or Rose coming downhill. It'd be interesting. We don't see enough pick and roll, I think, with Julius Randle either. He
just wants to pick and pop. You don't want to pick and roll.
Exactly. Even though we find success when we do that, especially with him and Evan Fournier, when they start working that pick and roll, whenever to start the season, when they went into those pick and roll motions, I think we consistently got looks, and then they consistently got good looks, and they completely went away from it. There's no synergy out there on the court with these guys. It's frustrating, honestly. I can go to the Y right now, find four other guys and have more synergy on the court than we're seeing with the Knicks right now.
Yeah, it's about passion. You want to know why?
Because we communicate. Passion and communication.
Yeah. And let's be part of something special, man. But if we're not saying that, man. Like a lot of our family said in there, where's the leadership on this team? We need somebody has to step up to be that leader, or we have to import a leader onto this team.
And it's not as easy as you think. Yeah, other locker rooms don't want to give up leaders easily. It's the miscreants they want to give up.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So, Foxy, we talked about Luka. And no, not Vildoza. Our guy Samanic. You said some of his stats earlier, but let me read up a few. He's averaging 28.1 points per game, 10.6 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, 0.4 steals per game, 0.9 blocks per game, 4.1 turnovers per game, which is kind of high. And he's shooting 55% from the field, 42% from three, and he's shooting 90% from the free throw line. Turnovers are kind of high, and we actually didn't
give G League though.
True, but we didn't give McBride enough credit. Let me just run back to him. He's got like a 3-to-1 turnover to assist ratio down there in the G League, so that's solid as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that kid.
Well, what have you seen from Samanic down there? You said he could be a potential stretch 4, stretch 5.
Yeah, it's effortless. His stroke is effortless. And you know what? If you get a slow guy that come up on him, he'll blow past him. He'll put that ball on the floor. I don't know if a lot of the SV Nation and watch some of the highlights, his dunks and his layups and stuff. He'll drive right to the basket, man. And worst case scenario, as you see, he'll get 5 fouled. He's a 90% shooter. So the guy can shoot. Like we said, he was a first-round draft choice. Had some issues with the management in San Antonio. It didn't work out. But he's 6'10", prototype size. He has a beautiful shot. He's fat, he has speed, and stuff like that. It'd be crazy what we're going through not to give this kid, some burn. I'm not saying, like I said, start off with 4 or 5 minutes, Deuce and Luka and Grimes and stuff. Come on. He said, well, how long are you going to wait until, and like I said yesterday, Why didn't he put these kids in? You're leaving your starters in when there's a double-digit lead. One of them is coming back from a bum ankle. Makes, I don't know what Thibs is thinking, man. If Randall or somebody got hurt last night, God forbid, or yesterday, whenever it was in those last couple of minutes, there would have been hell. So kid Luka a chance, man. You can't teach size. You can't teach a shooting stroke like that. You heard me and us all saying, Obi, I love the kid, great energy, but he shoots 20% from both mid-range and from three, and hopefully that'll come around. This guy's a natural shooter. It's a different thing when you're a natural shooter. It's already there. The other parts of his game, so it make no sense for them to take a thing on it. So like you said, so you'd rather keep Luka down and not upgrade his contract from a two-way and keep Wayne Selden on this team?
Doing nothing.
Practice player. And your pride's
He's
too
not
much.
Even Theo Pinson. At least Theo Pinson was out there rallying up the crowd and rallying up the squad.
Hey, Keith, what's the rally?
Hey, but we had some dark moments last season, and Theo Pinson was still up at the end of the bench, and raving the rally towel.
I saw him the other night in the G League.
Yes, against.
Yeah,
he's playing for what, the Celtics G League team or
Maine? Yeah, exactly. The Maine, whatever. Yeah, so it's like, man, it was weird to see him, but so come on, man, front office, come on, Thibs. We talked about development. We have a kid here with that. We have Deuce. We have Grimes. We have Jericho. Give Jericho. Come on, man. If Mitch and New Orleans are like limping, the limping wounded, give Jericho a chance. And I was the first one to say he's raw, but I'd rather a raw guy who can play than somebody who's limping along. Like I said, if they can't do it because they're injured, then you know what?
Why are they out there?
Then why are they out there?
Exactly. You're just taking away from the team. You're not giving us anything. We have another super chat from our guy White Falcon. He's saying trade Noel, Randall, Burks for PG-13, a mentor for RJ. Foxy, how you feel? That's 2 win now for you?
No, meaning if they would take that trade, White Falcon, I'd go for that trade in a second. I'd go for, Thibs said, and this is another thing about Thibs at the beginning of the season said, this is a league that's dominated by wings. You look at all the good teams. They got a lot of wings, man. Who are our wings? You get PG-13 here, and like you said, a mentor for RJ. I do White Falcon. So a lineup of maybe D Rose, RJ, PG-13. I guess it would be Obi or maybe Luka, but maybe Obi at the 4 and whoever's not injured at the 5.
Whoever's not injured. I mean,
it's coming down to that. I'm trying to bring humor into it, so because of the pain, but it's coming down to that. Who's not injured is going to be playing tonight.
So if we were to make that trade at that point, would you elevate now Kemba back to the starting lineup? Because Thibs has said Kemba's a starter and we would be better defensively. RJ's a better perimeter defender. PG-13 is a very good perimeter defender. You would assume we'd still have Mitch. So now you have 3+ defenders out there on the court. In that instance, would you now elevate Kemba Walker back to the starter? Because you would still need a point guard.
The only thing I would do for Kemba is hold a retirement party. I'm serious. He's done. Meaning we just talked about a kid like Deuce. Deuce's defensive game is already here, and Kemba's down here. So all right, Deuce wins the defense. And in terms of shooting, I'll put Deuce at this stage of his career up against Kemba, and also what he can do.
42%.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, hey man, Kemba, you were all-star. You had a legendary career. You were what you did at UConn. You're a Soundview boy, Castle Hill Projects here. I have great respect for you. It's over, man. It's over. So there's no more, let's try this one more time. Only bad teams like that.
Well, that would be after a trade. It's not like we were gonna go.
He should never play in the I don't even know why he's on the freaking bench now. It makes no meaning. I would not even put him on the bench. I'd say, you know what? You stay at home. We're going to try to trade you. We're going to work out. But at this point in time, you know what? You're taking a valuable spot. Hey, if you had Joachim, Luka Veldoza, you had no problem spending all this money. You're a billionaire. Eat the 8 million or whatever. But you know what?
It's more than 8 million.
I'm saying this season. Yeah, I'm with you. But sometimes you got to bite the bullet and let the kids, let the kids, and he's taking a kid's spot now.
I think Kemba can still contribute. I think he is taking a spot here with us. Now, if we made a trade like that, I would still see if Kemba could step up and be a point guard in that situation where you have two. I won't say RJ's an elite defender, but RJ was showing some elite qualities as a defender to start the season. You have PG-13, who could be a lockdown defender, and you have Mitch, when he's right, a plus defender. So in that situation, I could see Kemba trying to step back into the position of being a starter. It would just be weird with all the hoopla that was made with him being taken out of that starting rotation.
But that's why
Kemba can still contribute. I don't think he's done. I think in the right spot on the right team, he can still provide an offensive punch for teams.
Yeah, in Europe, Barcelona, maybe in Israel. But you know what, White Falcon, props to you, man, because what would happen if PG-13, Paul George came here, he would start taking on the defenders, the toughest defenders. That would bring so much more energy back to RJ's game, where he wouldn't be zapped from playing both of those things. It would have a profound impact, not only his mentoring, but he wouldn't be so exhausted doing that. Paul George is used to that shit. So his size, he's prototype. He'd do that. So that trade, I would do that in a second. I'd throw in a couple of twos if he needed, but they'd never go for it.
Yeah, they wouldn't. We have another super chat from 1975. Jam Rock, $2 is saying, how do we improve the overall basketball IQ of the team? I don't know if we can improve it. We'd have to change the pieces. Either that or get a legitimate point guard in there that can direct traffic, let people know where they need to be, and be a vocal leader out there, a legitimate floor general. That's the only way we would be able to improve the overall basketball IQ of the team. You'd have to bring in high IQ players and have a floor general out there to kind of steer the ship and let players know where they need to go. Like Draymond Green. You can see Draymond Green out there with the Golden State Warriors being vocal and telling guys where they need to be and things like that.
A leader. He's not afraid to get in somebody's face. He's not afraid of popularity contests. He'll get it. Yeah, absolutely. But the weird thing, thanks to my brother Keys, who's done some brilliant work, we may have the floor general of our future. The only problem, he's playing in Barcelona. Maybe he'll be here next year. But Rokas, folks, he has all those attributes. He may have some issues on defense when he first gets here, but his size. But the one thing that he'll put the players, get the ball to them in their spots. He'll be able to drive and kick it out. He'll be able to hit threes. So we have that stash, and I'm hoping that stash turns out to be something good. But getting back to Jamrock's question, these guys have been playing organized ball since they're kids, through high school, through AAU, through college. If they haven't attained the level of basketball IQ by the time they hit the pros, they'll get smarter from film work and other things, but they should already have. That's why certain players, the Scotty Barnes, some of it is gifts from the Lord. They just see the game at a different level than others. But others, they'll never have the basketball IQ. They'll be in the league, they may be successful, but they're successful because they're in the roles where they're not trying to put the players in their position. They're just a player. They have somebody who's doing that for them. They're in their spot and they're hitting, but God forbid they're ever put in that spot where they have to make the players around them better. Not everybody has that talent.
Yeah, we kind of see that when we have Julius Randle bringing the ball up.
Yep. Hey, I'm not sure, but I think we may be inching toward a new time record in our chat today.
Yeah, we're at like 251.
Yeah,
we're up there.
Yeah.
We got another $2 super chat from White Falcon. He's saying, can Kemba and Fournier run the bench with IQ Knox. And so I guess you already answered this one, Foxy. You don't want Kemba anywhere near this team anymore.
I don't want Kemba anywhere near this team anymore. Love him. I'm a Bronx boy, but no. Just we saw enough of him, and it's like he doesn't have burst, folks. So on offense, he's a very limited player. We saw we put up early in the season the shot charts, 3-pointer or nothing. It doesn't have the burst anymore, and that you can't get around screens, and you saw guys just blowing past him. So and again, I have great respect for what he's achieved in the league, but you got to know when to say, you know what, I'd rather everybody remember me as Charlotte Kemba than this old guy that had no legs in the fourth quarter, who was dribbling over himself, and nobody,
But if he's coming off the bench, you might not have to worry about that. I think Kemba can still give 10, 15 solid minutes in the NBA. He might not be starter level quality, but I still think he can help a team up off the bench.
I agree. And not only, I think he can get 10 or 15 points a game. The only problem is he'll be giving up 25 or 30 points while he's scoring those 10 to 15 points.
Well, that's why he has to go to the right situation. He needs to be on a team where they have a solid team defense and they have lengthy defenders that can, help him out when he does get beat, or if they do need to switch and help him come over and try to double or something. I know Kemba is a liability out there on defense, but I think offensively he still is talented enough to where he's not going to be as big of a net minus as we saw with him on our team. I just don't think.
I wish him well. I hope you're right too. I'd like him to be, go someplace and be successful. I just don't see him being successful here. And also, I don't want us to go through this exercise in futility at the cost of our young kids' development.
Facts. Yeah, because already, how many roster spots right now are being used where we're not able to put our young players in position to get better and to develop? You've got Kevin Knox, who we really aren't using. He is a young player, but it doesn't seem like he's in our long-term future. Wayne Selden.
Yeah.
Who else is out there? Nerlens Noel, I guess, since he's off injured and never really available when he's out there, he's not really giving us much. So that's 3 right there. Any else? Foxy?
No, just meaning, CP3's been on a lot of games. We saw him against the Nets. We saw him on national TV, so I've been watching a lot of him. And it just bugs the hell out of me when you're watching him. You see him pointing to his guys on the team. When was the last time you saw somebody on our team doing that?
Theo Pinson.
Yeah, Theo Pinson from the bench. Yeah.
Fournier doesn't. Oh, you mean from the bench or from on the court?
On the court.
On the court, yeah, we don't have anybody.
Yeah. So and Fournier, shout out to my friend Hadouken, man. He did this, No Life podcast. If you haven't subscribed to my friend Hadouken, please subscribe. One of the great young minds on the Knicks fandom. He had this wonderful screenshot of Randall with the ball, but from the shot you see Fournier pointing to Randall, telling him where to throw the ball. Randall didn't listen to Fournier, so Fournier was trying to help Randall, telling him what to do.
Fournier does it on the bench as well too, like when there's open shooters in the corner. But then it's like Fournier, when you're on the court, you're not the one doing it either. So
I know that, but he gets into a thing. He gets tunnel vision all of a sudden Randall gets tunnel vision. He doesn't see anything else, and it's like, oh no, something bad's going to come out of this, or oh god. So.
Yeah, but White Falcon 44, I hope he answered your question. I don't think we'd run that second unit. I think that second unit would have too many liabilities defensively. Knox is a minus defender. Fournier is a minus defender. And then you have Kemba, who's a minus defender. And if you go based off what we saw yesterday, Cube was he looked like a minus defender yesterday too. I don't know what was going on with this team as a whole, but it was rough. Rough to watch.
There's a couple other super chats, my friend.
Yep. Scrolling to him now. We got one from Julian Blum.
Hey, that's my brother. My Bronx brother.
Julian. Thank you for the support. It says Kemba can't contribute. He's a liability. His offense would lead to no defense on the other end, and it offsets itself. I don't know. I don't think every player out there is giving you there are other defensive liabilities out there in the NBA. I'm not going to say and act like Kemba's the only one that might give up a little bit more points than he's scoring. But if Kemba can show to be a facilitator and, make life a little bit easier. The fact that he's a knockdown shooter, that kind of gravity makes, the court a little bit more. There's more spacing out there on the court for a team. He can find a fit. He can find a home. I don't think Kemba's done completely. I mean, we already saw when the reports came out that Kemba was going to be taken out of the rotation. There were reports that 3 teams already showed some interest. So I think there are teams out there that think Kemba can contribute. He's just going to have to find the right spot. And unfortunately, the New York Knicks was not that team. It was not a right fit in terms of our coach. Our coach likes his guard to be bigger, defensive guard, so it wasn't a good fit. And when you look at our other addition, Evan Fournier, he's a player that's not great defensively. So you had 2 weak cogs out there with our starting lineup, and it just wasn't the right place for Kemba to be to continue his career. But like I said, hopefully he's able to find a soft landing spot elsewhere and contribute, with those clubs. Just hopefully it's not a team that we have to face at the end of the season. Because it'll be a revenge game. And if he comes to New York to play in the Garden in a revenge game, you see what other no-name players are doing against us. Imagine that. How poetic would that be? We jettison Kemba to another team, and now he comes back to the Garden and goes off for 30. That'd be wild.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll take the chance. I'd love to see Kemba back with my boy Deuce guarding him. I'll take that.
The only problem is Thibs has not shown the likelihood or the.
All right, no doubt.
You might not actually put him into play. That's unfortunate.
Old dog, new tricks.
I don't understand why. He's a perfect Thibs type of player. He's not the biggest point guard, but he plays that tough defense. And you would think Thibs was the one that they said really wanted him in the draft. So if Thibs was the one that wanted him in the draft, why not have Thibs? Why isn't Thibs willing to put him in a position to help this team?
He has this weird regimented mindset of vet, rookie. It's like you have to pay.
What are you doing? The vets aren't giving you anything because Nerlens Noel is giving us nothing.
And they're not exactly. So that's why I don't know when the Tips watch is going to start. I think you got a couple other super chats there, bud.
Yep. We got another one from G Fresh TV 199. It says, "What's your take on trading for John Wall?" I say no.
I would not trade for John Wall at all. But I've said this before. If John Wall gets bought out, I have no problem us getting. And also I have great respect for our friend Jay Boogie. Jay Boogie has a couple of pals. He has a little insight. Talk to him about Jay Wall still has game. Jay Wall is a Kentucky boy. Jay Wall would like to come to New York. So under the perfect circumstances where we don't take on that gargantuan contract, where he gets bought out and he comes here, price friendly. What have I been saying for all along? This team is in desperate need of speed. With all the catastrophic injuries, and pardon me, that John Wall has, he's still lightning compared to anyone pretty much in the league. Even last year, he was a 20-point scorer. So like I said, I would never trade for John Wall, but if he gets bought out, I have no problem us bringing John Wall here. Yeah, and whether people don't like that or not, that's cool. Different strokes for different folks, but in Boogie, I trust.
Yeah. My issue with John Wall is just the fact that he didn't want to take the reason he's not playing in Houston is because he doesn't want to take a back seat to the young guys. And for me, if we want the young guys to develop, yes, we still want to be super competitive, but John Wall really hasn't fit in the locker room, both in Washington. There were some issues between him and Beal. And then now in Houston, the reason they don't want him there, they want Jalen Green, they want KPJ to step to the forefront of those teams and be the leader. I don't know if I want to go in and bring John Wall, even if it's on a minimum contract, bring him in to be the point guard in the Mecca, the biggest stage in the world, and think that he's going to take a step back to some of our younger guys and allow them to step up and become true leaders. And then you look at Julius Randle, how he's starting to, it seems like he's starting to butt heads with Evan Fournier. Would a Julius Randle and a John Wall pairing be, something that would flourish here in New York? I mean, they're both, players from Kentucky, but I don't know if they have that type of bond where they'll be able to have chemistry on the court. So that's my biggest hiccup. Bringing in another, I don't want to say head.
I think it's totally valid, your points. I hate when you're right. Will you stop being right?
It's not about being wrong or right. It's just
I know I'm only goofing, but I think they're totally valid points about a vet, wanting that last shine in their career, and maybe at at the cost of young development. But I still think
here, remember, Foxy, he comes here. He's not coming here on just a vet minimum and then retire. He's gonna come here and be playing for more money. He's not gonna say, "All right, I got bought out. I got enough money. I would like another bag at some point." He's still a young player, so he's playing for his future as well. So it'd be a weird dynamic for me. I don't know if we're the best spot for him.
I think your points are totally valid, but
now if we had veteran leadership, then okay, I can see it. But we don't have the leadership here.
Can't argue with anything you said, my friend. Can't argue at all.
Yeah. So let's see. Any other chats?
I don't know about.
You want to shout out?
Just wanted to, you tell me when it's time for the Sports Vibe Lounge, where we turn it over to our family for that part of the show, and we start, go more into their questions. But I do have a lot of shout outs to my friends. I see my friend Quiet Money. I hope all is well. The Kemba signing is a publicity stunt. I love you, Quiet Money. I felt that the same.
Jerseys?
I don't know, but basically saying, we didn't sign Lonzo. We didn't make a real free agent thing. Let's do like a Quiet Money said. Let's put up a smoke screen, a marketing thing that we're bringing Kemba back. Oh my God. But unfortunately, the smoke got blown away, and we saw the reality that this is not the Charlotte Kemba anymore. Hey, I see my friend Hector of For the Love of the Game, Project Nerd HQ. Hope all is well, Hector, with you and the family. Knicks 100 a game, as I said to you, I love that thing. That name came about him playing, and I didn't say it at the end of the night, so that's why I want to say it, playing 2K in the barbershop, and he bet $100 a game, but he only played the Knicks, and that's what I missed the other. So I got you there, my friend. He was loyal. He only played the Knicks on his team.
He must be pretty good too, because the Knicks aren't that great on 2K.
Well, he has some special things. Like I said, I already said, my guy Julian Blum, Sherwin M, coaching legend, Westchester Hawks. Love his insight, man. This guy, hey folks, Sherwin calls it. He talked about Charlotte before the season ever got started. He's like Foxy talking about the Washington Wizards. What, Foxy, you talking about? Hey, the other day I said to some people while it was going on, seriously, got to take a step back. If you look at the roster of Orlando and you look at the roster of Charlotte, in 3 years, who's going to have a better team, them or the Knicks, with our current roster and stuff like that? They got young talent, man. That's what we need. Young talent that could grow into being great players. So, and athletic. I'm all about athletic in this league, man. And, some of
athleticism.
Oh my God.
He sticks out like a sore thumb on the court when he's running up and down compared to our other guys.
Yeah, I know that. So, and he also sticks out shooting 20% from mid-range and 20% from three.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think you saw Thibs go to Knox a little bit. I think it was the Phoenix game, and I think it was at some point.
But it took two defensive assignment blown by Knox to say, yeah, you hit a three, but Jesus Christ, you still haven't learned to play D. You still haven't learned to box out. So Sherwin M said the Knicks have lazy players. They must get players that want to play, to defend, trade Obi, IQ, Knox, and picks for starting small forward. Sherwin, man, I always have great respect for you. I can't argue with anything that you say, man. So Craig Mack, I'm sorry. Take it, please.
We got a $5 super chat from B. Simmons. Hope it's not Ben Simmons. Thibs was giving RJ the hint that
he's not doing anything, so he has time to watch.
Right? He should be working on his jump shot. But he said B. Simmons says Thibs was giving RJ the hint that he's no longer the second option and is now a 3-and-D player like Bullock was last season. If that's the case, that would suck, because I would like to see RJ evolve his game a little bit more. I was cool with him just being a 3-and-D player to start, but as you can see, this team we need more from our starters, and especially RJ. We really need him to step up. I thought we were going to get more from Evan Fournier, get something from Kemba, and get a little bit more from Julius Randle in the terms of setting his teammates up. But we're just not getting that. So if we're not getting that from Julius Randle, then we have to look at RJ and say, RJ, man, we need more from you. We're looking at some of your classmates. I know Zion's overweight and not playing, dealing with the Jones fracture. But, when he was on the court, he was a difference maker. Same thing with Ja. Ja sprained his knee or whatever the case may be. when he's on the court, he's a difference maker. Now we're seeing Darius Garland, a player drafted 2 spots after RJ. He's on the court now with the Cavs, and he's looking like a legitimate difference maker. So you see those 3 players from his draft class. Now you're looking at RJ, and it's like, RJ, okay, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt because it seemed like it was just the first 2 that were going to be extreme or high level impact players. But now we're seeing Darius Garland start to percolate. So RJ, man, the pressure is going to be on him. He's going to have to start showing up.
Yeah. Did you notice Garland's game went up when all of a sudden Jared Allen and Evan Mobley? That kind of helps your game when all of a sudden they can't pay attention to you the same way, or you could dump the ball off to those guys. God, what I would do to have a front line like that. Mm-hmm. I think, hey, Craig Mack, hope all is well, salute. Hey, Foxy, what part of the Bronx you claim? Ain't no claim. I said this last week, grew up in 3 places. Basically, I grew up in the Castle Hill Projects, 2125 Randall Avenue. But my mom, my grandmother's mother, my mom's mom lived in the Sedgwick Projects on University Avenue, where I hung out all the time. And my father's mom lived on Watson Avenue in the projects on Watson Avenue. So basically, I grew up in those 3 places: Watson Avenue, University Avenue, or Sedgwick Avenue, and Castle Hill. So hopefully that answered your question. But I ain't claiming. I am New York. I am Bronx through and through. D nice, man.
Yeah, we have another super chat from 1975 Jamrock, $2 super chat. He's saying Sacktown has 3 point guards. Could we make a trade for one? I think the one that jumps off the screen for a lot of people is De'Aaron Fox. I'd be fine with a trade for De'Aaron Fox, but you also have to understand he's not the greatest point guard when it comes to defense. So that is one thing you got to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, folks, if you again, it's at Fox Sports Talk on my tweet. I put that out last week of the worst defenders in the league. And not only, surprisingly, De'Aaron Fox was on that list, so was Davion Mitchell. No, and the reason is the same thing with Kemba. It's not a league for 6-foot guards. I don't care how fast you are. He's great on the offense because he's explosive, but this is not a league at 6 feet that you can deal with. You can't deal with 6'5", with 6'9" wingspans at a shoot on switches and stuff like that. The reality comes in like you were great in college, but this is a whole different league of big boys that are also athletic and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I hear you, but it's not like you can't be a short point guard and not be a difference maker, because we talked about CP3 a few times, and I think he's right around the same height as a De'Aaron Fox. So, yeah.
But CP is a generational player.
True, but I'm just saying we see instances where 6-foot point guards can make an impact. And I think De'Aaron Fox in the right system with the right pieces around him in a better environment here in New York, I think he could flourish. So I wouldn't be against trading for De'Aaron Fox. It would just come down to what would Sacramento want in order for us to make the move.
Yeah, he has a giant
contract. And I would
contract.
think at least Obi, or he does have but then again, if RJ came out and had a great season, he'd have a similar contract to RJ. So if the performance matches the pay, then I'm fine with it. Like Julius Randle, he's not getting a max contract. He's getting what, 23 or 24 million dollars, something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
So for him not to step up and look like a number one option, I understand he's not a number one option, and he's not paid to be a number one option. So that I also take into account as well. So if De'Aaron Fox were to come over here and be that dynamic point guard for us, I'd be okay with him having that type of contract. Because if you look at any other player that we do try to bring in at the point guard position, they're going to have a similar contract. Dame Lillard is going to have a big contract. People want Ben Simmons. He has a larger contract. It's cheaper than John Wall's contract.
No, we wouldn't have this discussion if we just drafted Halliburton a couple of years ago instead of Ovi.
It depends. You think Halliburton will be in the end? You think Halliburton will be better than Fox?
No, because speed kills. But I think he's a different type of point guard. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be like that, but he's the type of guy that, he's going to score 18 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds every game. So he may not pretty, but he's almost a 6'11" wingspan. He's disruptive on defense. Thibs would have loved that kid. So, and when he came to New York, he let New York know that you missed. That's the type of energy that this team doesn't have. You didn't pick me. Every time I play you, I'm going to haunt you. Damn. That's the type of player. Did you ever see Kevin Knox do that to the guys who passed on him before his picks? So, hey, Worldwide L, shout out again for the love of the game, folks. Check it out. Worldwide L, one of the coolest bullies in the world. Hope all is well. Hey, Worldwide L, Lawrence, were you at the Hawks game? Knicks game down in Atlanta. I know you lived down there a couple of weeks ago. I thought one of the shots on TV, I thought I saw you. So, but I said, nah, there's only a few handsome guys out there. So I don't know. Let's see who else. Jay Boogie.
We got another super chat, $4.99 from the Fitchers, saying Evan is getting targeted while on defense and is getting the dirty work / career nights to Hoobies / set Evan a leash off the bench. 15 to 17 points per game off bench helps. I don't think he's not even averaging 15 as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, but I think his point is
go to the bench.
Yeah, but
he'll flourish if he's on the bench.
Yeah, but I think maybe the Fisher's point is that whether D Rose or sometimes those guys, because they're playing second team guys, they eat better. You know, they're not going against the elite guys of starting teams. So all of a sudden their game goes to another level because you know what, you're not playing the same type of player as a first team guy. So maybe he can eat there.
Evan was eating as a starter with Orlando, no?
Oh, I agree with you. So but
I think it's more so him not vibing with the guys he's on the court with.
I agree. Them setting screens for his curls. Yeah, and also
Randall's terrible at setting those screens.
Oh my god! Gosh. Oh my gosh! I was screaming the other night.
It's nasty to look at.
It is, and because it's attitude too. It's something he doesn't want to do. So it just jumps off the freaking screen.
Doesn't want to do the dirty work unless it's a marquee matchup.
That was Worldwide L.
Jumping all over the place.
Yo, I did think I saw you. Were you wearing a Ewing jersey? That's, Jay Boogie I know was at the game because I saw the picture with Wally and stuff like that, but I didn't know Worldwide. So, yo. Hey, Jay Boogie says, I want that boy. Hi, Jay Boogie. Boogie, I hope everything's well with you and the family. Hope that boy, man, from the Clippers. Yo. I know, man. Terrence Mann, yeah, he's happening. D Nice, hope all is well. We are always looking at players we missed. What about all the other teams that missed the same player? Come on. Hey, I agree with you, man.
I'm not a fan of their team. That's their problem. I'm worried about what the Knicks do. They missed them. Good. God bless them. Hopefully they'll figure it out. I'm trying to make sure we figure it out. That's our focus right now.
Yeah, shout out to Lex the Destroyer. Yeah, absolutely. Lex the Destroyer, one of the great mods in history. Hope all is well. Be civilized. How are you, my friend? Yeah.
We got a nice turnout. Cracked the 240. I think 240 was the record, and right now we're sitting at 243. So got to give an applause for that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for supporting the live stream.
We love you so much, SV Nation. God, you're awesome. Hey, Michael West, RJ is a kid, 21 years old. We realize that, but he's in the league 3 years, man, and the league don't look at whether you're a kid or not. They look at whether you perform or not. So, and most of all, Michael West, you heard me say it tonight. I believe in RJ. I just am disappointed with his inconsistency, but I think his shot will get back. But, I just want him. I'd love this to be RJ's team. I want him to take it. I want him to be hungry. So I'm with you, man.
And, I mean, yeah, RJ's 21, but Garland's 21 too. I mean, you look at his last few games, he dropped 31 points and he dropped 32 points against both the Jazz and the Wizards.
Yeah, you got Johnny Davis there.
Yeah, age I don't think means age is not an excuse, especially when you've got 3 years in the league. You want to see a consistent upward trajectory, and I think in this season we're starting to see RJ regress just a little bit, whether it be his 3-point shooting or, him not attacking and finishing with the type of ferocity we want to see from RJ. So, yeah, he is 21, but you want to see progress. And I don't think we're seeing the right amount of progress that we thought we would have seen from year 3. So he's definitely going to have to step it up. Like you say, Foxy, we all have faith in him. We just have to speak on what we've seen so far. And I don't think any Knicks fan would say that they've been happy with what they've seen from RJ up until this point.
And we know you go into slumps, but you can't have a month, 13 games. Like I put out his numbers, shout out again, Tommy Beer for those numbers, but you can't have a month of bad games. You could have 2 or 3, but not a month worth, or 13 games to be exact. You have a super chat from Johnny Davis. There you go.
Johnny Davis, $2 super chat. He's saying guard and center position should be addressed. You want to be honest? I think we need to address point guard, wing, and center because I
the
think
wing,
we need
Johnny.
upgrades at all those positions.
Yeah, the wing. Yeah, all of us been talking about for Christmas that 6'8", 6'9" wing with the 7'1" foot that plays dog defense, can throw, shoot from three. Yeah. Oh, yeah, his name's Mikal Bridges. Oh, couldn't we have had him? Oh my God, yes, we could have.
Should have.
Devin Vassell we could have had. So, who's having a very fine season. We'll see him on Tuesday, folks.
And shout out my guy, Nudie25. Hit them likes.
Nudie.
Facts. We had 114 likes. Hey, you guys have been doing the thing. Appreciate the support. 238
wonderful, man.
Too.
Are our mods fantastic? Are they just spectacular? You know, they allow us to chop it up and focus while they're helping us, you know, scale. Hey, folks, seriously, if you haven't smashed that like button, please smash that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. You know, we're a blink under 5,000 subscribers. Congratulations, Keith, but we're almost there.
Thank you.
So, folks, in a very short time, seriously, we hope to hit not only 5,000 subscribers, but my brother Keith, we're coming up on 1 million views. 1 million views. It's so proud to be part of this family. So, but it couldn't happen without you. So please hit that subscribe button so we can put out greater content. Please hit that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on the next episode of Sports Vibe, whatever it is put out. And please share that link on your favorite social media platform. And again, special shout out to the best mods in the planet. We appreciate all you do.
And Foxy, since we've been on, we just cracked the 4,900 mark.
I noticed that.
We were under before we came on.
Or the home stretch of that 5,000. So, and here comes that 1 million views, folks. That's a huge milestone. 1 million views, man. That's a long way of saying, you know what? I'm thinking of doing a show, and all of a sudden, wow, that's showing. You know, and my brother here, like I said, he never sleeps. works.
Actually, Foxy, I got a funny thing to tell you. The time I actually did sleep, they benched Kemba. I didn't find out about the news until 4 hours after the fact. I wake up, I got JD and George texting me like, "Hey, yo, Keith, where you at? You know, Kemba just got benched." And I said, "No way." I go on Twitter, everybody's in uproar. Kemba's benched. I'm like, damn. One time I sleep, I missed the big news.
Yeah, that Moon Rocks does it to me too.
You want to know what it was? Kemba got benched on a Monday, and I was replaying the stream. So I was up chopping it up with people in the chat, and by the time I did go to sleep, it was it's too early in the morning to go to sleep, honestly, and I just slept throughout the morning.
Yeah, similar thing happened to me. Our brother JD, shout out JD, had some good time down in DR, and happy birthday. I don't know, please, if you see JD in any of the chats, extend a birthday wish to him. But he said about Kemba, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about because I was unfortunately in a dentist chair for a few hours. And when I found out, I was like, oh my God, did you hear about Kemba? So it's like, yo. So, but shout out JD, love you, man.
Facts.
Gregory Lee, with what the Knicks are trying to do, having Randall handle the ball is not the same with which you get a 6'10" point guard, and also he's more athletic and can handle the ball and has a higher IQ.
I guess he's comparing him to Ben Simmons?
I guess he's comparing him to Ben Simmons. So, hey, Ben's a very talented player. You know, a lot of people, you know, the shooting and stuff but he is an elite player. You know, he has some issues. I wouldn't touch him personally because of, but I have respect for him.
I have respect for his game. Yep.
I have respect for his game. I just don't have respect for his attitude.
If he can't handle Philly and their fan base, he's not gonna.
Forget about this, man.
They're already talking about firing Thibs, trading Randall, trading RJ. You think Ben Simmons is going to be able to come over here and kind of live through some of the negativity that you get as a New York Knicks?
And if they're not happy with the amount of ball that they have in their hand, you think they're going to be happy when Ben gets here? Because that guy needs the ball in his hands.
And is he going to be happy with the response he's going to get from Knicks fans when we're in a clutch moment in the playoffs and he's passing up shots? They're going to rip him. He's gonna be on the back of every newspaper. It's gonna be over.
Yep, and then 3 days after that, it'll be in Bellevue. So
here we go, Foxy.
we got true vision now. You gotta love your Foxy. You can take the boy out of the Bronx, but you can't take the Bronx out of the boy. I got that weird Bronx sense of humor, man. Can't help it.
Oh man, that was funny. True vision. True Vision, thank you for the support. He sent the 199 super chat. Halliburton and Bagley for Quickly and Obi. The thing is, I wouldn't give. Yeah,
they wouldn't do it.
And I wouldn't do it because I don't want to give up Obi for another power forward that wants minutes. Because that's like a.
And it also has an antiquated game. He's more of an old school post up type of guy.
You could actually, you could try to get a little creative and have Bagley at the 5. You could try to do that. Then you can see, all right, we have an offensive-minded 5 that can stretch the court. So that I can see where you're going, True Vision. But in order to make that move, we would have to be willing to start Bagley at the 5 because he's disgruntled with his playing minutes, even though they started to play him now that Walton is no longer there. But if I'm going to move Obi, I want Obi to come back with either a point guard or a wing that we can slot in at the 3 and D. Because then if I wanted to get crazy, I could move Mitch for like, let's say Miles Turner or something like that if I wanted to get creative. And then you got a nice little squad.
Yeah, and it's funny, True Vision, before the broadcast, Keith and I were talking, and I was saying, we were talking about the 5 position, and I was like, that kid Rashawn Holmes that Sacramento re-signed, that would have been a nice addition. He's a shot blocker. He has a different type of energy. So he wasn't in your trade talks, but we were talking about the Kings there. That's a player that I wouldn't mind. He's a Daniel Gafford type of, hops type of guy, blocks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like Gafford.
And that's, I think, the way the NBA is going. Our 5s are more old school 5s than new school 5s that don't have that type of mobility. But
and you see how teams just pick us apart whenever they have those stretch 5s out there. They pull Mitch, pull Nerlens out of the paint. They're not comfortable out there, number one. And then it's open field day. Everybody just takes turns penetrating and kicking it out for open threes.
Did you see Noel with that fake with the Jokic yesterday? Where he fell for the, he was all alone for 3 because Jokic made the fake and Nerlens was like, yo, man.
They're not comfortable out there.
They're not comfortable. So, Gregory Lee, my friend, we got another.
Yep, $5 super chat. He said we need to trade Julius for Simmons. The money match is up right now. Add Kemba deal with a first-round pick unprotected. Yeah, and no bueno for Ben. It's too risky for me.
Yeah, it's about, we talked about culture and stuff like that. So the last thing we want to do is bring in a guy, hey, and I keep it simple. Forget about organization stuff. And the players reached out to Ben Simmons to try to make it right. And he didn't want to deal with his own teammates. So that's immediately a red flag for me, man, is that you hate the management. We can dig that. But if you can't hang out with, talk to your own players and try to, there has to be a loyalty to your players, your teammates, man, that you're in this to win this. You can't do it alone. If you don't have your loyalty to your teammates, then that's not somebody I would want to trade for. Hey, my guy, Kaiser Soze.
In Ben's defense, the team and the organization did kind of throw him under the bus initially after that loss in the playoff series to the Hawks. So I understand why he could have felt scorned a little bit, but like you said, you still should be man enough to pick up the phone and talk to your teammates and see if you can hash it out. And if you can't hash it out, don't tell them, hey, don't even fly it out. Don't fly out here because I'm not going to have a conversation with you. At least be man enough to have that sit down and let them know, hey, I just don't feel comfortable here anymore. This is not the place for me.
But what the hell do you expect to happen if you're an elite player and you don't take a shot in 4 playoff games?
Exactly.
And you're afraid to get to the foul line? Then you know what? Then you're not elite. You have some elite skills, but you're not an elite player.
Facts.
So I just said Kaiser Soze, he's been a great supporter for a long time. Hope all is well with you and the family. Rebuild NYK. Disappointed in my Knicks fans who are no longer knowledgeable. Hey, I resemble that remark. So I am a dim.
Hey, they won't like everything you say. It is what it is. But at
No,
least
I
thank you
know,
for
but we
pulling up
keep
and
it real,
supporting.
man. Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate it, man, and that's what it's. It's all love. You know,
Hmm.
I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, but I have great respect for you, and that's why it's all love here, man.
Yeah. Troy Flett is saying trade Randall for picks. I wouldn't go that far.
Nah,
You need
yeah,
to get
we
value
are
for Randall at
proven.
this
We need
point.
something proven.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
a
can't
proven
go from
commodity.
you can't go from the fourth seed last year to now going into a complete rebuild because now it looks like the front office doesn't know what the hell they're doing. So if
Yeah.
you go ahead, Foxy.
No, I was going to say that for a long time, people have been saying, and I wanted to see what your thoughts are in the chat because it's been brought up for over a year now that one of the players that people have targeted if we do trade Randall is for Cat.
Oh yeah, I'd live with that.
Yep.
I'd live with
Okay.
that.
I just
But
wanted your
if we're
thoughts.
gonna trade for Cat, who else are we gonna trade with Randall? Because it's not gonna be a 1-for-1 swap. I do a
I
one for
know.
one swap in a heartbeat.
No, I know.
But if you're talking
They'll
about
probably.
Julius Randle and throwing like an Obi, then no, I don't want to sacrifice key pieces in our future along with Julius Randle for Cat. I'd be
Yeah.
more comfortable giving up picks because you really don't know what those are going to be as opposed to players that we've seen who we like, who we think can fit in this culture. I'd rather keep those and give up the draft picks and hope that we build a contender with Cat and that those draft picks are going to be late first
Yep.
round draft picks.
Shout out Hector Gaston. Hope all is well with you and the family. No Cat. Cool. That's what we wanted to hear. What the family, what you guys think.
What about you? How do you feel about Cat? Not a big fan of Cat?
I think Cat has elite skills. He can shoot threes and everything. His motor has always bothered me. So I'm not sure because I'm such a cool and collected person, if people realize I'm a real intense person. I know I hide it well. But I like guys with a different type of motor, so I have great respect for his skills, but I just like you said, I don't know whether he can handle the New York media. There's a
Well,
different place.
we have the when it comes to motor, same issue could be brought up with us with Samanic because they had an issue with his motor in San Antonio. That's
But
the
you're
thing. We
not
have a
taking
lot of
on the
questions.
contracts that this,
True. True. It's not the same.
you're
It's not
able
the
to
same
throw the
contract.
dice
True.
like no loss here, man. We gave it a try off the waiver wire. Hell, but
True.
Cat, you're giving up the bank.
True. Kaiser Soze 718 with a 9.99 super chat. He's saying that's what's going to happen anyway. Open your eyes. This team ain't making the playoffs this year. Wolves are not trading Cat to us. They might trade Cat for Ayton. That would be a better deal. Honestly,
Yeah, Kaiser says he's always got meaning he's always knowledgeable. Love his takes, man, and he's right on target as always, man.
Yeah, I won't say definitively that we're not making the playoffs, though. I still think we have a chance to rebound. I think we've hit a rough patch. It's only been a 3-game losing streak. Yes, it's been a tough stretch of games after you calculate what we've done after the 5-1 start. But I still have faith in this team. I still think we'll be able to figure it out. We just have to commit. We have to not give in, but we just have to. Everybody has to do their part in order to be a team. You can't go out there and have your individual goals. You have to have the mindset that we go out there every day and we're fighting as one. We can't continue having these players out there like a Julius Randle where it seems he's trying to go out there and get his, and when he goes out there and get his, Evan Fournier then comes back and says, okay, well, I'm gonna go out there and get mine whenever I touch the ball. And now
That's
we
a
see this
cancer.
ISO, exactly, now we see this ISO heavy brand of basketball out there on the court, and I think that's what kills us. It then rears itself over on the defensive end when everybody's pouting and dejected and nobody's out there, making the right rotations and doing what they have to do in order to play winning basketball. So I still think we have what it takes to turn it around, but we have to do it quickly because we're almost halfway through the season. We've like 10-15 games from the halfway mark, and things are going to have to change. I've been saying it time and time again. We have a rough West Coast string coming up. I would like to be 29 and 23 by the time we go out there to the West Coast. I think if we're at 29, 20, and 23, we're in a good spot in terms of going out there and not having the best stretch of games. But if we can go out there and come back from that stretch and be in a position where we're not
They're
fighting
still
too
above
hard,
500.
still above 500 and not too far from the other teams in the Eastern Conference. Because, yeah, the record matters, but what's more important is where we are from other teams in the Eastern Conference. We cannot allow the top teams to start driving a wedge between us and them in the standings, because then after a while, it's going to be insurmountable.
Yeah. Question for the SV Nation, the chat and everything. We're 10 days away from December 15th, start of the trade. Do you think our front office is going to do anything this year?
They have to. They have to. There's no question about it.
But are they going to do?
We have Alec Burks run the point.
But are they going to do something of the level of a D Rose in a second round pick, getting rid of a DSJ?
Who he had a pretty game yesterday, the other day.
All I saw was him throwing the ball at some guy on the ground. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that one. He had like, what, 21 points, I think 7 assists.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it was like in garbage minutes or something like that.
I was about to say, you see how well that team's playing. I think he came out with something similar. Chauncey saying, "When do you have a second team that's supposed to energize the starting team? That's not how you play basketball." It's like, man, does that feel familiar? that we're relying on our second team more than our starters.
We've got another super chat from True Vision, 199 super chat. Thank you, True Vision, for your support through this live stream. He's asking Tyrese and Holmes for Mitch, Obi, and Quickly.
Oh, he's getting close to something that looks sweet over here, man. He's getting close, True Vision. I like the way you're going. Tyrese and Holmes would really change the complexion of this team, man. But I think we're giving up a touch too much. That's why I'm saying we're getting there, but we're not there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd rather Quick. More like Mitch and Obi with a couple of draft choices.
Yeah,
and then I'm down for it.
Yeah, then I consider it because
but you're getting close there, True Vision.
I don't want to give up Obi, but it's hard to find him a footing in this lineup when you have Julius Randle at the starting power forward and he's getting 35 minutes or whatever the case may be with Thibs. So it's seeming like that we're gonna have to move on from Obi just because we don't have the place for him to really flourish. We don't have space for him to get minutes. Not the minutes he needs, because he needs 25, 27 minutes to develop his game, and he's not going to get that behind Obi, especially if Thibs doesn't trust him to put him out there in small ball lineups. That's the key to this right now.
Yeah, and I also think why it's so critical now with December 15th, 10 days away, that if we gave Luka some burn, Samanic folks, that maybe the team would say, you know what, he can be a stretch four for us. He's 6'10". He doesn't have obviously Obi's speed, his hops and stuff like that, but Obi doesn't have his shooting. Obi doesn't have some of his traits. So maybe, we'll say, hey, Julius is our four, but Luka can play those 15 minutes and do all right. But all of a sudden we have a Tyrese and we have a Holmes. Tyrese would change his team dramatically. Defense would be upgraded. The distribution would be upgraded. But again, I think it's going to come down to the other guys allowing him to do that. Is Randall going to go along with the plan to somebody that's going to be the primary distributor and not him any longer? And that's what should happen. I think it'll bring out the best of Julius, take that pressure off of him.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with the Samanic. We have December 15th coming up, and before this front office makes any drastic moves, I want to see what we have on this roster.
Let's
put
see
them out there, because
before we give up.
If we have legitimate options at the point guard and a Deuce, then we don't have to go crazy and try to go out and bring in a Tyrese. Then maybe all we have to worry about is that 3-and-D wing that's going to step in, lock up the opposing team's best perimeter ball handler. So, that's why I want those guys out there on the court. Maybe we don't have to go and trade for an offensive-minded five if Samanic can be elevated and show that he has some promise. We have solid pieces, I think, that are showing that they can contribute. It's now on Thibs to put them in, give them the opportunity, and show us what they have. If they're not ready for the moment, then that's fine. They're still young players, and they still are players that are going to have promise. But then we can pivot and bring in quote unquote vets, but vets that fit what we're trying to do. In the offseason, you kind of heard that there was the internal battle between Thibs and the front office on which players to bring in. And now it looks like the front office went out and brought players that Thibs probably knew weren't going to be ideal.
Oh, they were going back and forth. So many of the things Thibs wanted one, they went with the other. Thibs wanted one, they went with the other.
And now we're trying to put square pegs into small holes, into circular holes.
Pause. Yo, so King John 1980. You love your Foxy. Watch Knox get traded. Watch Knox get traded and start playing out his mind for another team. Yo,
that's you know fine, what? As long as we get to the value.
Yeah,
I don't care what they do on another team. As long as we had a solid deal, that's all that matters. So that means if they're playing great, that means we got a pretty good package in return if it's a solid deal.
And if Knox didn't want to show his game in New York, then he's an asshole. Just meaning this is the place if you want to showcase and be the man. There's not a better place in the world. Hey, look at Randall with everything he's saying. How many commercials do you see on that guy right now? 2 or 3 commercials besides all this money he's making. So from merchandising, he's doing
cable. I have no clue.
Oh, he's doing like 2 or 3 commercials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's raking in the bucks from merchandising. You come to New York and have a little success. You know, it goes a lot more than the contract, man. You become a legend.
I'm new school. I live life unplugged, man. Cable cutter.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yo, David Parker, same Sly Fox. Thanks, man. Hope all is well with you and your family. All right, Still Dre. How about Kemba, Randall, Knox, and Noel with picks for Elf and Ayton?
I don't want Elf back.
Yo, no Elf ever again. So,
I'd rather take Cameron Payne.
Sherwin, hope all is well. Knox was never given a chance in New York. I'm with you. They did the kid wrong. You know, how many coaches, that the poor kid had, started his first season and then the next season, had so many, he started only a tiny amount of games. Mental game is so much of this league. So they screwed with the kid's head. I am with you, Sherwin. They did him wrong. But at the same time, you have to have fire. And I'm old school with first round draft picks. I have certain rules. And rule number 1 is you never spend the first round draft pick on somebody that has a questionable motor or quote unquote needs to mature and is 3 or 4 years away. And that's what you call a second round pick or a free agent signing, not a first round. Bricks Nation, DeRozan wanted to come here and we went with Fournier instead. We said that off the thing, Bricks Nation. It's like, not only that, but do you imagine this team if we brought in Lonzo and DeRozan? So it was basically Lonzo, RJ, DeRozan, Randall, and whoever's not injured at center.
Well, I'm not going to front. I didn't want DeRozan originally. I didn't know he was going to come out and ball like this. The guy I wanted was Norman Powell. I think Norman Powell was another player that didn't need the ball in his hands and was going to play
a Thibs player.
Defense and knock down the 3. Yeah. And people were saying he was undersized at what?
He is undersized.
6'5" or something like 6'4".
6'4". And he's having some issues. I printed it the other day. He's having some issues on defense this year. So, but that's not fair on the part. Out there on the court, I was about to say he's playing with a crummy players out there. Yeah, but I love his heart.
Powell and Lonzo. Lonzo would have been phenomenal for this lineup, and I think we'd probably be right where the Chicago Bulls are if we had those 2.
Yeah. So let's see. Blow it up, blow it all up. Kaiser Soze said, "I hate to do that, man, but I don't know."
Too soon to say blow it all up.
Yeah, I know. We want to tweak. We want to keep RJ. We'd like to keep Randall if we could harness him and playing. He's an excellent player. I don't want people to think I don't respect his skills, but we just can't put him in a position to fail. We got to take the ball out of his hands.
Get him a real point guard.
So like let's tweak this rather than blow it up, because then blowing it up is then saying we're still another 3 to 5 years away again.
And then that's going to be tough.
That's
another 3 to 5 years.
Especially if you're, me either. And especially, you saw with Golden State, it's easy to rebuild when you're getting a top 3 or top 5 pick a few years in a row. Then you could really.
I mean, they're not even using those players, though.
I know Kuminga's in the G League. Yeah.
Moody doesn't play. Wiseman's injured. It's like they don't even use the top picks And
I know, but they have a
still one of the
12-man
best teams in the league. It's
rotation and
crazy.
everything. I wish Thibs would look at some of what Kerr is doing out there,
Yeah,
man.
let's figure
On
out
the
what they're
offense
doing
he's
and emulate it.
running, everything. Defense, they're an outstanding defense team. Look at their numbers. Look at so they're not a one-dimensional team at all. They're playing basketball the way you want basketball to be played.
We got another super chat. Kaiser Soze 718.
He's so cool. He's such a generous man.
Thank you for the support. He's saying the goal is to build a team that can compete for a championship.
The chip.
Right now, the vets we have do not fit that timeline. Facts. I say trade Randall and keep Obi because the team we have is not winning a chip. I would agree with you, but if we're going to trade Randall, we have to get comparable value in return. We can't trade Randall, I think, just for picks, because that puts us back on that cycle where we're another 3 or 5 years away from a championship. So if we can move Randall for some young pieces that can contribute right away, then that's something I would sign up for. But to just trade Randall and say, all right, it's time to start another rebuild, I think that would be wrong. You don't have one regime start 2 separate rebuilds. If we're going to do another rebuild, then that means we need to start looking for a new regime.
With you. But it's so hard when you see guys like Cole Anthony going off. And it's like, oh, man, we had a chance. But not only, but my thing with Cole Anthony, we had a chance to take our pick, but also use some of our other picks to trade down and get him because he dropped. So
he dropped to what, 12?
Forget the number, something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere between 10 and 12, one of the two.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got going on here. My guy Lex tweeted something. Not tweeted. He sent something out earlier saying only 7 more to 150 likes. Let's go SV Nation. Yeah, man. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button and making sure you guys are subscribed. We go live here on the channel every Sunday at 8 p.m. You guys had a great showing tonight for us. Greatly appreciate all the support.
Yeah, we love you, man. And like I said, we love your comments. You know, you enlighten us, you provoke thought, and we really appreciate it. So
salute
King
to all the
Ja,
mods as well.
Yeah, yep, the mods are fantastic. King Ja McBride plays just like a little Marcus Smart with a little more athleticism. Yeah,
and a better shot.
And a better shot. A better shot. Love his wingspan, man. It is so disruptive.
Man, Chai said the boos already started at MSG. I mean, honestly, I'm not a booer. That's not really my thing. I don't like booing my team, but they deserve to be booed the way they played against the Nuggets. Lackluster effort out there on the court.
Yeah.
Jay Boogie, shout out to Jay Boogie. Saying rebuild, you mean we tearing down the building already? Chat, I'm dead. Yeah, too soon, man. We're fresh off the 4th seed.
Yeah.
I can't see us going for a rebuild already.
Either.
Boo Dash is saying, can Knicks get Kyrie? Why would we want Kyrie? He can't play in New York.
Yep.
Yeah. No, thank you. He's another head case. I don't want to deal with him.
Yeah, you saw what he did with the talented kids in Boston, man. You walk away from that, hell, man.
You walk away from LeBron James. You out there guaranteed a spot in the finals, and you're saying, "Nah, I'm good. I want out."
He wanted to be He wants to be the man. He doesn't want to share that with anybody else.
Exactly. Now, why would we want Kyrie? You know, he didn't want to be a part of something special. He wanted to be the special thing.
And most of all,
be part of something special.
And most of all, he has the best handles I've ever seen. He's incredibly gifted, but he can't play a season without ever getting injured. So, and this has happened since college.
He won't get injured this season, though.
Because he ain't playing. I know, but you don't want to trade for a guy. It's not a question if, it's a question when he's going to get hurt. So, yeah. Yo, Brick Nations, Rokas and IQ is the future backcourt. So
I live with that backcourt. Rokas is doing this thing over there for Barcelona.
He is. And he's a floor general. That's something this team desperately needs.
Got anticipation.
He'd be doing what I would be saying. He'd be pointing, no, move over, bring out the screen here, get over there, looking off
and
guys.
He's doing that over there, and he's young. He's one of the young guys over. He's playing with Miritic.
Yep.
Former Bulls.
Yep.
He's a star.
Guy got punched in the face. Didn't Bobby light him up?
Yeah, my guy with the eyes.
Yeah. You know what? I miss Bobby Portis. He's an excellent 3-point shooter, man. I miss Bobby and those crazy eyes. Yeah, with the Bucks. He got the ring now.
Yep. He's got the ring. Let's see. Richard Shomo is saying trades is coming this month. They should. I won't say they have to come this month, but we do need some trades. I think what I have a big issue with the front office and what they did is it seemed like they were more focused on giving the guys that held us down last season the bag as opposed to building a better team. We went out and we gave Nerlens Noel, what, $9-10 million, even though I think that was an overpay. We did the same thing with Alec Burks. We gave Derrick Rose, what was it, $14 million. We kind of overpaid a lot of these players. And at first glance, it was like, all right, that's cool. They're holding down the guys that helped us last season. But now you're looking at some of the other deals that were made around the league, and you're seeing guys that are getting paid chump change and are better fits for their team as opposed to the guys that we decided to re-up with.
Exactly.
And that's what's frustrating.
The coolest 718. Hope all is well. Thanks all again for all your support. Don't be shocked when the Knicks do the dumbest crap ever. Watch. Yo, hey, Robert Parr, one of the greats. Hi, Robert. Hope all is well with the family, man.
Rob is in the building. What's up?
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Salute SV Nation. Thank you for tuning in, Robert. Appreciate the support. Oh, look what Morris says. Time to trade him.
Who, RJ?
Yeah, RJ.
I want to trade RJ. Like I said, I have faith in him. So
give him some more time.
And I just don't think there's players out there that we'd get that I don't want a player that's 32 years old. He may be great, but I want a player that's in our timeline. I want somebody that may be young, but you could see in 2 years a blink away from being fantastic. But some of the guys that have been talked about. Yo, Derek. I can't. Our guy Derek, man. Thanks for dropping by, man.
Salute. Thank you, Derek, for tuning in. Appreciate your support, bro.
Love that, man.
RJ value low too. That's a Snapple fact. He has not looked good. And you're going to trade him to a team that's going to have to make the decision on whether or not they're going to pay him. And he really hasn't shown enough to start the season that's going to warrant any kind of bag. He hasn't shown enough. Mitch hasn't shown enough. It's rough. I mean, the only positive is maybe if we decide we want to bring those guys, not those guys, but bring Mitch back, at least he'll be cheaper in the offseason. So now if you see Mitch as more so of a backup option, you could jettison Nerlens Noel, probably pay Mitch the low in the offseason, you would hope, and then try to find a long-term answer at the starting center if you think Mitch really isn't the guy.
Yeah. Raphael Burgess, Thibs wants a player that's 32 years old, though. Yo, hit that applause for Raphael, man. He's right. Thibs, he's infatuated with the old guys, and the young guys are just, he doesn't want to really give burn to the young guys.
Yeah, it makes no sense, too, because a lot of those guys are his type of players. Grimes is his type of player. McBride is his type of player. And they're not young players that he inherited. Those were his draft picks. You would assume he had some input on selecting those players. So if you felt good enough to pick them with our draft picks, why don't you feel comfortable enough putting them into a situation where we could use them?
Yeah. Kaiser Soze, I'd keep drafting and stay young until we could hit on that superstar. Bringing all these vets to pay to be mediocre was dumb. I'm with you, man. I am with you. Like I said, Orlando, some of these teams, you're like saying, yo, they got some young talent. I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, you know what? Can we trade down and trade to them, when Jonathan Isaac comes back, and they got some players on that team, they have 3 point guards over there. Cole, Suggs unfortunately hurt his thumb. Fultz, so yeah, they
got a lot of questions over there with Orlando too, because a lot of those players are returning from major injuries. So I want to see how they look when they're back in full shape and ready to go.
Bamba's coming into his own.
A lot of us wanted us to trade for Bamba last season.
I know. Too. But that length, but he's shooting from 3. He has a good defensive-minded coach that came over from there. Yeah, they're going to be a different team, man. That Franz Wagner is a player like a Caruso. He's not pretty, but boy, does he make the smart plays. He's a glue type of player that good teams have.
So, Foxy, Derek is saying I still go. I guess he's saying go after Beal. Washington coming back down to earth, which is a fact. Would you go after a Bradley Beal?
It's all about the cost. Like you said, it's about value, what they're asking, Yeah. So I don't. It's about value. I have great respect for his talents, but you know what? I'd be searching for a wing faster than I'd be looking for a Beal.
Bill is interesting though, because if you do go after a Bradley Bill, I would assume RJ is going to be included in the deal. I can't see Washington moving on from Bradley Bill and not asking for RJ in return just to sell to their fan base. And also, RJ still has some promise. But if you do bring in Bradley Bill, now you have that player that Julius Randle, I don't want to say bend the knee, but he can kind of take a step back and allow Bradley Bill to become that it player, the star of the team. So you can see where it can work there. It'll all come down to the price. I think if RJ Barrett continues to play like this, a trade for Bradley Bill is something I'd be more and more open to. But right now, I still want to see if RJ can kind of turn it around, because if he can turn it around, I think he's still a solid option for us at the two once we're able to bring in, like you said, a nice 3-and-D wing.
Yeah, I got to agree with my friend Sherwin that Beal plays no D, man. So this is a team that we want to build an identity of being a tough defensive team. Beal collided up, but they line him up, so so he doesn't play much D, and that's not what the type of guy that we want.
We got another super chat from 1975 Jamrock, $2 super chat. Suggs might not live up to his draft pick, honestly. When we went up against him, he kind of started the game kind of rough. I was like, Suggs not looking too great. But I think in the second half of that game, I can't remember if it was the first or the second one, Suggs kind of lit us up.
I was about to say that, and folks, I personally don't agree with you. Appreciate the super chat. That especially at the point guard position, Jamrock, that it takes a few years and the speed of the game. Had a great career at Gonzaga, but he has explosive athleticism, something that this team desperately needs. But in a few years, I think he's going to be a really, really good player. You can't, he has very good vision. He makes the players around him better. He's a dog on defense. But if he can get a consistent jumper, then believe me, he's going to live up to that draft pick. But you could also understand why Toronto picked Scotty Barnes over him, though. We're going to see Scotty. Hopefully, we'll see Scotty Barnes, folks. This kid is
not hopefully.
special.
Hopefully, we don't see Scotty.
No, like last time. Yeah, I know. But Scotty is special, folks. His vision, everything we're saying. I brought up, I saw him do this play, grabbed the rebound, 3 dribbles, and he dunked it. And he shot great from 3 the other night. JD and I were talking about it. The kid's a stud. So Ujiri knows what the hell he's doing there, boy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully our front office can show us that same kind of knowledge or the ability to find talent in the draft, which we think they've done so far. But let's see if Thibs can start developing them, because I think that's the key, development. I think the Knicks, time and time again, have shown that we're a franchise that doesn't do great developing our own talent. You can just look at the fact that we haven't re-signed any of our draft picks. I think to this day, it's still Charlie Ward. And that's crazy to think about it,
It's hurtful, man. It's like incompetence times. You were doing that scientific notation the other day. Mm-hmm. Like, this is crazy, man.
How do you build a culture if you are unable to retain your own players? It's just hard.
That's any sport. Poetry, yeah.
Any sport. But Foxy,
and also,
and
also, you're not going to attract anybody to this franchise with that track record either.
Exactly. But Foxy, I think we had a great show.
Yeah, thank you.
It's almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. Ooh.
I know. We usually be like an hour and 30, but you start asking questions, and we live all week for talking to the SV Nation in the chat and listening to you, and we just love hanging with you. And like we said, we're not hating, man. We're just Knicks fans, and as analysts and stuff like that, we just want the best for this team. And like we said, we want, we believe in them, and we're not saying that we don't like using terms like guys are garbage and everything. We're just saying guys are just not living up to potential.
Before we go, Derek wanted to ask a quick question. He's saying, Foxy, draft talk. Why didn't we get Duarte Cade, a franchise guy?
Duarte, Derek, if you heard me, I said he was unlike Obi, he was the most, people are like, oh, he's 24 and everything. I'm like, no. The kid is the most NBA ready game gorgeous 3-point stroke, real high IQ, excellent defender. Yeah, I would love, Duarte on this team, man. I would love that kid. And what was the other question on that?
It was Duarte and is Cade a franchise guy?
Cade is a very, very good player. I don't know. I think he's finding out with the length of the NBA and stuff. He's going to have all-star. He's going to be an all-star for 10 years. He's going to be a great player. I just don't know if he's going to be an all-star. There's a difference between superstar and all-star. So I think he's going to be an all-star. I just don't know whether he'll be a superstar, but he's going to be a very, very good player. But again, as I said, and a lot of people was like saying, "Wow, Jalen Green can jump through the roof." I'm like, he can. He's gonna be electric. And I think in 5 years from now, people are gonna just say he's incredible. But Evan Mobley was the pick, folks. He's just like Keith, quiet, but he's a killer, man. The silent assassin, man. You're just like, man, what game? And doesn't have to do nothing. The game speaks for him. He's just so smooth. So just like my guy Keith, man. Smooth.
Thank you for the compliment, Foxy. Appreciate that. Derek, thank you for the phenomenal question as well. Getting into a little draft talk. If the Knicks start losing, we're going to be getting into some more draft talk, unfortunately.
Yeah, Foxy's writing his books. I've been watching games like crazy. I will put out a name, folks. And it's still early. I got to watch more of it. But a kid on Baylor, Kendall Brown, a 6'8" forward. He's very raw on the offensive side, but he has Jaylen Brown athleticism. He's going to be like Scotty Barnes on defense, or automatic. When he comes in this league, he's going to be a great defensive player, incredible motor, a great cutter. And then, like, same thing that they said about Jaylen Brown when he came to his league. The kid can shoot. Watch out. So if you get a chance to watch some Baylor games, do me a favor, check him out. Let me know what you think.
All right. So, Foxy, any last words other than that? Good to go?
Let's go Knicks. Hopefully we can turn it around this week. I'm looking forward. I love our Knicks. I'll always love our Knicks. Let's beat the Spurs. And hopefully there'll be come to Jesus moments where everybody say, come on, man, let's put this shit behind us. Let's play as a team. Let's play defense. Let's communicate. Let's do this. So I'm hoping that. So, but SV Nation, have a great week. Stay safe. And can't wait to see you next Sunday at 8:00.
Yeah, so let's end with a quick roll call. Derek, Morris, Knicks 100 a game, Still Dre, Song Play, Sherwin M, Lex the Destroyer, one of our mods. Thank you. White Falcon 44, D Coolest 718, Kaiser 718, Budash. All you guys, thank you.
Julian Tran, I missed him earlier, but Julian, if you're still
Julian.
On, hope all is well. Julian Blum, my Bronx brother. I got 2 Julians in my life.
Thank you guys all for the support tonight. It's greatly appreciated. Once again, I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined by our NBA analyst, Foxy. Want to say thank you. We're going to close the show with The Squad by our guy, Jay Boogie. You can chop it up with him in the chats when we're live Sunday on 8 p.m. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we're out.
Let's get it. Y'all be spitting with your flows, I'm just podcasting. That's right. On the air every day, I'm just podcasting. What? You don't know what that mean when I say I'm podcasting. I'm broadcasting these flows with the podcasting. Every day of my life, I'm just podcasting. Right. Share my dreams with you, me and I'm podcasting. What? You can see my vision through the podcasting. Yeah. But don't forget Jay Boogie when I'm broadcasting. What? I'm podcasting, he's podcasting. What? I've been spitting this venom since Karate Flicks. When Mr. Sims was sharing nothing but the Knicks. I guess you know by now, I seen some tough years. Now I know the reason why Freezy got them blowing tears. Closest thing to the Reverend means I'm the deacon. Call up G-Mo just so he can talk the Legion. I'm squeezing, get my young ones to overstand. Some more advice, Ron Cleveland, Mr. Man. I guess y'all know I'm just podcasting, right? Y'all be spitting with your flows, I'm just podcasting. That's right. On the air every day, I'm just podcasting. What? You don't know what that mean when I say I'm podcasting. I'm broadcasting these flows with the podcasting. Every day of my life, I'm just podcasting. Right. Share my dreams with you, me and I'm podcasting. What? You can see my vision through the podcasting. Yeah. But don't forget Jay Boogie when I'm broadcasting. What? I'm podcasting, I know some haters and doubters, they wanna take the shine. Call up JL, he said, do it in a nick of time. I feel you young when the car drive, they wanna ride. If you ain't Keys, we don't share the same sports vibe. We different, in other words, we ain't alike. But young head Hadouken, he a Nick at night. No sleeping, we YouTubing through the daylight. That's what it is when you live inside that Nick life. That Nick life, that Nick life. Y'all be spitting with your flows, I'm just podcasting.
That's right.
On the air every day, I'm just podcasting.
What?
You don't know what that mean when I say I'm podcasting. I'm broadcasting these flows with the podcasters. Every day of my life, I'm just podcasting.
Right.
Share my dreams with you, me and I'm podcasting.
What?
You can see my vision through the podcasting.
Yeah.
But don't forget J Boogie
Okay.
when I'm broadcasting.
What?
I'm podcasting,
What?
he podcasting.
What?
My man CP said let's Nick fan the TV. From the podcast back to the MSG, the network, we breaking news here every day. Run the intro, that's CK, the 2K, the bills paid. Stephen Fox, he got a dog walk. We'll tell JD we need that new sport talk. I don't care about the Sixers if they falling off. I'm at the rim left-handed like John Starks. John Starks, what? John Starks. Shout out to all the podcasters doing their thing. If you listen and represent a podcast, hit the like button and smash them up. You know what I'm saying? They working hard for you and everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the First Lady, Miss Stephanie. Shout out to Ian Begley. Shout out to J Mac. Shout out to my man Tone Wu. Shout out to my man for the love of the game. And shout out for the pause and radio. And a special shout out to my man Entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Rocking them New York Giants. It is football season. I can't forget him, man. Peace, love, and happiness.